Good morning, Internet. This is the Oskar Quentin Show, where I talk to people about politics and related things on TikTok Live. It's the 5th of July, which means that yesterday was the 4th of July, and I have not sifted through the pile of videos there are to watch of protesters getting arrested, of people being evacuated for high winds, a dust storm crashing the party. I don't know. I don't think I believe in God, but a dust storm hitting DC on a day where I'm kind of happy that a dust storm hit on DC seems a little bit serendipitous. Trump's speech, I have not seen it, but I've heard that it was reasonably uneventful. I heard he again spent more time on communism, which is interesting. I think that the people on the far left are starting to concern the people on the far right, and that's something we talked about yesterday, because he gave a 30-minute speech the day before, which I did watch, and he had some similar things to say. But other than the general chaos of clearly, the Trump administration not knowing how to throw a party for their own constituents that people will actually show up to and enjoy, there's not much to say. You guys know how I feel about the current state of affairs in America. I didn't celebrate the 4th of July. I ran the show yesterday. I did some editing in the afternoon, and then I went and had evening plans, hung out with somebody, didn't go and do anything. Said fuck it. There was a thunderstorm, which I thought was apt, but that's the news for the day. Jesse, did I miss anything very important? Oh, the evening show, usually 7 p.m. Central Time. We have some to be determines about today's show, so just look for the cards on my stories, and look for the post on YouTube scheduling the stream when it's going to be. That's going to come out this afternoon. But just trying to nail a couple things down about that, so I don't want to create details that will have people pestering somebody who they thought was going to be on the show, because, yeah, like I said, we're just working out some scheduling stuff. But other than that, we've already got a caller, so I think we're just going to jump right into the debates before I get into anything else. But I will say today, for the regular viewers of the show, is a day where I have my live producer, Jesse, on the other side of the room. So W in the chat for Jesse for keeping me on task today. We'll see if it's a better show than it usually is. But we're going to start by hovering over the disconnect button, as I always have to when we have a default username, big jumble user phone number, something like that. We're going to accept them into the call and see if we immediately have to disconnect them. Hello, how old are you? Hello?
Hello?
Hello, how old are you?
18.
18. I'm going to believe you for now. You're a Trump supporter?
Yep.
Why is that?
Probably because of the border.
Okay. What about
just
the border?
Border control. Just
why is that
I feel like it's important to understand who's coming in and out of the country.
I agree. I'd like to fix the fact that there's so much illegal immigration in this country and so many illegal immigrants currently in the country. I agree about all of that. Why does that make you support Trump?
Because I agree with him that they shouldn't be in the country.
It is already illegal for them to be in the country. So I think that what you're talking about is you agree with his enforcement mechanisms for the border laws, for the immigration laws?
The idea of ICE is okay. It's just the execution isn't really like that well, in my opinion. Like,
yeah, I actually
nobody
agree.
should be getting killed, but they also, like, illegal immigrants should not, like, be in the country. Like, they should have to, like, I understand it's hard to go through the legal way. Like, it takes time, but they should also just, like, yeah, it's just not right to hop over the border at that point.
Okay, so I hear you. There's two things here. One is that I don't really like how the immigration laws work. I think there's a better way to solve the situation than just deporting everybody. But I do recognize that that's, the legal prerogative of the current administration. But I also think that the ways that they're doing it, like you just said, are really, 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 really bad and not worth the benefit of getting those illegal immigrants out of the country, because I actually don't see much benefit to getting the illegal immigrants out of the country. So there's a couple things we could tackle here, but I always, in what feels to me like a good faith conversation, I do like to just pick a direction. Are we going to talk about whether or not we like the immigration laws as they stand, or are we going to talk about whether or not ICE is enforcing those laws in a way that's safe, legal, constitutional, ethical, all that stuff? Because I consider them to be two very different topics, especially in consideration of the fact that in my perfect world, there does still need to be some sort of enforcement agency to enforce whatever the immigration laws end up being. So I just want you to pick one.
Yeah, I think it just has to do with, like, what do we, like, do with them at that point? Like, we have to understand that they did break our border laws, but it's just like, how can we, like, help them? What do we, like, do? Do we send them back?
Okay, well, so
Or,
again,
but
are we...
me personally, if someone were to break into my home, like if we're using
Hold on,
like this
we're moving on
example,
to arguments about how you feel about this, but what was the question I just asked you? I just asked you a very specific question that I wanted an answer to make sure that we understand what we're talking about.
oh, sorry, what was your question?
My question is, are we going to talk about whether or not the immigration laws are ones that we like, or are we going to talk about ICE, the agency whose job it is to enforce those laws, if they're doing practices that make sense and are legal that we are okay with? These are two different topics. They're related. We can talk about both.
Yeah, it has to do with ICE.
Okay, so you want to talk about what the actions that ICE agents are taking to enforce those laws, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the whole argument about, if somebody broke into your house, like I have counter arguments to that, but I feel like that has to do with whether or not we want them deported or not, which has to do with policy, which would have been the other answer. So if we're going to talk about how ICE is doing it, we're talking about the exact practices that they are using as law enforcement agents.
Yeah.
Okay. Aaron, I see you in the chat. So you are definitely next in line, just so you know. Everybody remembers Aaron from yesterday, hopefully. Okay. Do you think that it is fundamentally important for law enforcement agents to obey the Constitution when enforcing laws? Let's just start with that. Do you think that that's
obey,
important?
like follow?
Yeah, like you have constitutional rights, and if a police officer is talking to you about something, or a federal agent is talking to you about something, you don't want them violating your constitutional rights, right?
Yeah, they should follow the constitutional rights.
Okay. You are aware that ICE has a pretty awful track record under this current Trump administration of violating people's constitutional liberties, right?
Like in what way? Like killing U.S. citizens? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, yeah. There are two noteworthy cases of people being killed by ICE agents where there wasn't proper investigations. When a federal agent kills a person in a state, there's a very specific way that this is supposed to get handled, which is that there's supposed to be a state investigation and a federal investigation, and they're supposed to share information because we don't want the federal government investigating themselves. It's a little bit like how if a police officer accidentally hits you with his car, he has to call a different police jurisdiction to come investigate him because he's not allowed to investigate himself. His friends at his local police department aren't supposed to investigate him. So we have a similar system for state and federal systems. So they're violating those laws and norms to avoid proper investigations for Rene Good and Alex Preddy. So that's one thing. But I could also talk about the countless cases of ICE agents violating people's First Amendment right by giving them unlawful orders, assaulting them, using crowd munitions on them for doing nothing more than shouting their thoughts and feelings from the street corner. That's a widespread problem.
Yeah, so when you mention that, are you also mentioning like when that was happening during the Obama administration?
I'm sorry, can you find a video of an ICE agent violating a person's First Amendment right from the Obama administration?
Sure.
Are you going to go teacup and look for it? How interesting. If you think this is an interesting conversation, you should go to the link tree in my bio and follow me on the other platforms, because you can watch this show when I'm not live on YouTube, listen to it in podcast form. You can also watch it live on there. I do a horizontal stream of it if that's your preference. And then, Instagram's my main social media, and I'm also on Facebook. Lots of followers on there, but I kind of don't like Facebook, so I just maintain it. Also, if you want to support the show in direct ways, you can find some ways to send me some money. Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon. Danny did that. She sent me $3 on Venmo to get the show started and saying, watched yesterday's stream after effing tapping for 10 hours straight. I'm almost recovered. It's a superpower that you have the stamina for your show. Keep swimming, keep cooking. Oscar for mayor. I'm not running for politics this decade, guys. Chill out. It is not happening. And we do have a super chat already from Kronos. Where did it go? Kronos sent me $5 to say, stuck at work, so I'll be listening. I'll pop back into the chat here in an hour and a half when I get a break. W. Jesse, can't wait for the streams tonight. Yeah, we are doing 2 streams tonight because we have the evening show, which is tentatively scheduled for 7 p.m. Central Time. Watch the updates for that. But whenever that stream ends, which is open-ended, we are going to be doing the members-only stream. So if you're a monthly member on any of the 4 platforms where that's offered, you will get into a... you'll get into a like kind of private FAQ sort of thing that we do that isn't debates. Caller, do you have a video of ICE agents violating people's First Amendment right from the Obama administration?
Well, why does there have to be a video? Like, why can't a stat just prove that?
Well, so I'm sure that so what I said specifically is that it's a widespread problem, right? That this is a thing that's happening I didn't say this, but I'll add, it's happening thousands of times. There's thousands of instances of this happening in this short time that Trump has been president for the second time. And I think that you're probably going to bring me a statistic that there was something on the order of 50 or 60 human rights violations recorded under ICE during Obama's administration. Is that what you found?
56.
56, right. Okay, so when people talk about bad apples, we can say, yes, there's something like, 20, 30,000 ICE agents in the country. That sounds about right for 8 years. I think that those things were investigated. I think that the people who did them got in trouble. That sounds about normal. That's not a very concerning statistic. What would be concerning is if Obama himself defended those 56 people. Did he do that?
I don't know. I was like...
Were their identities protected? Were they not investigated? Did the director of the Department of Homeland Security say that what they were doing is totally legal and it's not a problem?
I'm not sure.
Right. I think it'd be really surprising if somebody told me that the number of incidents was 0. I'd say I don't believe you. Over 8 years, that many agents, that many encounters, that many deportations. Surely someone along the way made a horrible mistake or did something really bad. I can accept that the rate for these things, it can't be expected to be 0. That'd be lovely, but that doesn't show me an institutional problem. That doesn't show me that this is happening. That's why I asked for an example of footage, because what we're seeing is that you can go to the street corner when the ICE agents show up and film them and catch them doing constitutionally unallowable things easily. It's a widespread problem, is what I said. I think that 56 demonstrates that it's wasn't a widespread problem during the Obama administration.
Yeah, but I have a family member in Texas, and an ICE agent did actually come up to them, but she just acted cooperative and stuff, and then she said it was totally
hold
fine.
on. Are we abandoning the claim that Obama did the same thing? Are we moving on to some other anecdote that I'll have to answer to?
Well, no, I'm just carrying on with it. We're talking about how...
Was that during the Obama administration or during the current Trump administration?
Current Trump.
Okay, so we're trying to... Your claim was that Obama did the same thing, and I'm sitting here trying to gather some evidence about that. And what you're bringing me is, it sounds like, if I'm correct, is an anecdotal incident where an ICE agent during the Trump administration didn't do something bad, which obviously, right? You can send me a picture of a officer, a police officer, giving a kid a donut, and everybody's smiling and say, look at that, police officers are nice. And I go, no, that's not evidence that there isn't institutionalized problems of police abusing their power or something like that. You recognize that doesn't defeat my claim that what's happening right now is worse than what happened under Obama.
Yeah, it's also when we talk about the 56 compared to the 2, you're mentioning
hold on. Those are 56 cases of what are those 56 cases of? U.S. citizens killed by ICE agents. Okay, because ICE is more than 2 people have died in ICE custody and in ICE interactions. It's 2 white people who were protesters. You're not making the same comparison. They've gotten a lot of media attention because it was conspicuous, because there were people from the neighborhood here in Minneapolis who were defending this. They're people who the administration really want to go after, so they want to make a spectacle of their deaths and scare all of us into not going out and protesting. It became much scarier for me to go out and protest because Alex Preddy and Renee Good were both neighbors of mine, so it's something that I have to worry about. So the spotlight on it is different, but it's not 2 versus 56 at all. The actual number, maybe Jesse could find it quickly, the actual number of people who've died as a result of ICE during this administration, if we were to project it across 8 years, which is how long Obama's presidency were, they're killing people at a much faster rate. And that's just deaths, because I wasn't just talking about deaths, I was talking about major civil rights violations.
So why do you think it's different compared to the Obama administration compared to the Trump administration?
If you look at the number of people deported by Obama's administration, there is just an expected rate of people to die being handled, it's a little bit like when people said that the COVID vaccines were killing people because they gave 50,000 80-year-olds the COVID vaccine, and then over the course of the next couple of months, people pointed to a few thousand of them who died, which happens to a random group of 50,000 80-year-olds. Some of them die over the course of the next few months. It didn't stand out against background. So deaths either in custody or as a result of law enforcement action can happen. As of let's see, as of June 4th, 21 deaths in ICE detention have been publicized. Is that for this current administration, or is that for the calendar year, Jesse? Either way, whichever it is, we get to more than 56. But again, I'm not just talking about deaths. I'm talking about the fact that you can go and yell at an ICE agent from the street corner and get maced for it. That's actually what I was bringing up when I talked about the First Amendment violations. I wasn't talking about the deaths. You brought up the deaths.
ICE publicized that they're going to stop reporting them.
Oh, and my producer's telling me that ICE has announced that they are going to stop reporting these sorts of deaths.
People who died shortly afterwards.
Yeah, and one thing I don't know if you can hear my producer talking off screen. We got to get you mic'd if you're going to chime in like that. People want it, but people want to hear you, Jesse. We'll get a mic over there for Jesse. Yeah, in addition to stopping reporting on those sorts of things, a lot of people die immediately after leaving ICE custody because they're left without good resources, or they may have been injured or mistreated in custody. Because if you have an elderly person who, for example, isn't fed well, clothed well, kept a healthy temperature, that sort of thing, they can get pneumonia and get sick and die after leaving custody. So there's a particular statistic about there's a particular statistic about how likely a person, or how many people die shortly after leaving custody, and they've stopped reporting on that. Like, again, you're going down the deaths, but I'm actually talking about the widespread civil rights violations that have happened to thousands of people, and you kind of just keep going back to these statistics about deaths, which I just find, I don't know, it's kind of not what I'm talking about. You there? I am going to move on if I don't hear from you in about 10 seconds, because he gone. All right, well, Aron, you'll be up in just a second, so I am going to do what I forgot to do at the beginning of the show, because we hit the ground running today, which is I should hop into my backup account, Oskar Quentin 2, get that in the corner of the screen so people can follow the backup account, so that there's a place to watch the show when this account gets banned, which will happen eventually. Happens to everybody. I'm going to request. Let's get me in here. There we go. Go join the backup account. Oop, there it is. Let's see. We are going to talk to Aron. So Aron came up yesterday. I guess I'll just let him kind of fill us in on what we got started talking about yesterday. We'll jump back in, but we should probably review a little bit what it was yesterday, because if this is going to be the Aron episode, which it might be, he's brought me some new concerns. How you doing, Aron? Remind us how old you are.
I'm 23. Nice to talk to you again. Thanks for bringing me on.
Sure. Why don't you just fill people in on what we covered yesterday?
Yeah, and if you don't mind, after I do that, I can do a brief intro, like 30 seconds, just so people know where I'm coming from.
Sure, right. Absolutely.
So yesterday, Oskar and I were talking about, he has this, I think, strong push when people say, oh, they're not sure if they would actually support Trump anymore going forward. But then he has like an interesting way of framing it. It's like, well, would you rather pick Trump or Kamala if the election was held tomorrow? And I explained that ultimately I am going to be a single issue voter on the sanctity of life question. And we started getting into an interesting conversation about the extent to which it is justified to come up with any restrictions or policies that enforce, some kind of protections for late-term abortions or protections against them, and euthanasia. We unfortunately got cut past time. And maybe we'll talk about that again today. But as for who I am, I just want to stress that I'm not coming at this from some anti-woman perspective. I know some people may think that my position is inherently anti-woman. I just want to, people are going to assume that that's the case anyway. I'll just note that I'm really not even that extreme on the abortion question. Maybe people think that I am. My wife's actually pulled me much more into the pro-life direction. And she's further there than I am, and she works in healthcare, not to appeal to authority. But yeah, and I also write about theology in my free time on my Substack, and people can look at it if they're interested. But happy to chat.
Yeah, there was a little thing that we got snagged on, and it was kind of the moment yesterday where I realized we didn't have enough time to get into the meat and potatoes of this, because I said that the issues of whether or not we allow euthanasia for adults is really ethically a very different... Yeah, cat playing the piano. It happens on the show sometimes. I always forget to mute the dang thing. Whether or not euthanasia and abortion are the same issue, and you said that because of your ethical religious framework, they are the same issue, and I said that because I don't have a religious framework, my ethical framework is different, and they are very different issues, and I don't think that we can really proceed in talking about either of them until we iron that out. I can respect that from your framework, they're the same, but we got into this position where you kept on slipping in euthanasia into things I was saying about abortion. And I was saying, no. I was saying that about abortion, not about abortion and euthanasia, because I simply don't think the same things about the two of them. That's kind of the impasse that we landed on.
Yeah, okay. And for the sake of this conversation, I'm happy to separate them. I can just make the macro point, though, that the ultimate reason and my ultimate concern with the DNC today, keep in mind, my family was huge Obama supporters first term and second term. We were the famous switches to the Trump camp. The ultimate opposition comes from a concern that the DNC systematically, for whatever reason, is not making a concerted effort to protect life at all stages, innocent life, I should clarify. And that can manifest both in euthanasia or in abortion. So I do think that they're one and the same issue, but I will respect, it's your show, I will respect keeping them kind of compartmentalized.
Well, it's not a rule of the show. Like, I don't want you to, have to yield to one of my positions because it's not in alignment with mine. It just is my position. Like, I'd prefer you be honest about what you think. It's just, if they're going to get tangled up, we're going to get snagged on that. But I do just want to understand this, forgive me for picking a very specific direction, but I think this is a good litmus test that'll tell everybody watching kind of where we are ethically on this, because it seems to me that you really think of any sort of human life, which I don't personally think that super early pregnancies, zygotes, I don't consider them people. I don't grant them the right personhood.
I agree with you.
But they are human life. I recognize that we're talking about human life when we abort those cells. But you seem to hang under the same banner, like a birthed person, or a late term abortion, or an early term abortion, or a euthanasia case for somebody who's wants to be euthanized for some reason, whatever it might be. You kind of ball all of those things under the same exact banner, and I just don't. I weigh them very ethically differently. So I just have a very straightforward question for you.
Sure.
I have a bit of a trolley problem for you, just to gauge your ethics.
Love the trolley problem.
Great. We've got a green button and a red button. The green button murders an infant, an 8-month-old. Her mother's right there. Yep. She's watching. The red button causes 2 first trimester abortions to happen. Which do you push?
I think given that dichotomy, can I ask when in the first trimester?
10 weeks.
I think that's before the heartbeat, so I would probably...
Heartbeat happens around about 18 days. That is after the heartbeat.
Okay, then in that case, yeah, I guess I'm getting rid of the 8-month-old.
Wait, I have a healthcare professional on the other side of the room. Did I get is that right? Are the billboards right about 18 days? Is that when the flicker turns on?
I fucking hate it because it's a
Get over here if you're going to chime in. Sorry.
It's a hotly debated issue, is my understanding. I don't know if the earliest dates are what people say, but I'll defer to your
Sorry, she can't hear you. But
no. Heartbeat is a weird, wacky term because it is a cluster of cells sending electrical signals. That's literally all it is. They're not even like cardiac cells yet. They are cells that can send signals, and that's what we're calling a heartbeat, because that's how we can first ultrasound and see something that's moving around in there, right?
Yeah.
But if you were to put those cells into your heart, you would not survive. It's not a real heartbeat.
Here, go get your earbuds in so you can hear the reply. But yeah, that's why I said that's when the flicker turns on. When people say heartbeat at 18 days, there's a little bit of movement, a little bit of muscle tissue that's moving.
So I don't want to align myself with what other people say on the issue. Mm-hmm. I am not a medical expert, and
let's not get too lost in the sauce about the heartbeat. Let's just say yes after the heartbeat starts, because I don't value the heartbeat. Heartbeat doesn't mean anything to me. So I'm happy to say in my example, one button causes 2 abortions after the heartbeat in the first trimester. The other button violently murders an infant in front of that infant's mother.
Oh! Now we're talking about something different.
Well, I think I maybe added the word violent, but I did say that the baby was going to be killed in front of its mother. That was the original setup.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking of it as an intentional murder. I think that makes
well,
them
you're the one
something
pushing
like
the button, so either way, it's your fault. But it's the trolley problem. You have to pick one in my hypothetical.
I don't think the trolley problem results in murder. I think that you would probably agree with that.
Okay, we can imagine that the train is somehow going to cause 2 abortions or one baby being run over by a train in front of its mother. Like, again, it's a thought experiment land. I think you're getting away from the ethical question of which of these 2 things is a worse thing to happen, which is fundamentally what my question is.
Yeah, I think that when personhood happens, to the spirit of your question, whenever personhood happens, I think that person should be treated just as valuably as a comparable person. And in this case, I don't really see a fundamental difference to disagree between an unborn person and a postborn person. I don't think that the vaginal canal or the cesarean section somehow imbues personhood.
I don't think so either. I agree with that. Yeah. My question remains 10, 15 weeks, somewhere in there, first trimester after the heartbeat.
I thought I answered. I would prefer the 2 people. If it's after the heartbeat, and I believe ensoulment happens after whenever the heart is truly functioning, because I think that the soul grants someone their personhood, like most religious people. I'm not coming out of crazy left field from here. I think that whenever the soul is there, I'm going to treat that soul the same way as I'm going to treat an 8-month-old baby. I'm going to treat them the same way.
Okay, so again, to be clear, you would allow a mother to watch her 8-month-old die before you allowed 2, say, voluntary abortions to happen during the first trimester?
In this case where there's no murder involved, yeah. I mean, I think there's 2 lives and then there's 1 life.
You're murdering the baby to save the 2. This is the trolley problem. I'm asking you if you think that an 8-month-old baby being murdered in front of its mother is a worse or better thing to happen on Earth than 2 first trimester abortions.
I want to be super clear. I'm saying it's better. I am saying it's better literally because I think that those 3 souls, for all intents and purposes, are of equal value. And from the perspective of removing murder from the question, you're being constrained. I would rather 1 life be lost than 2 lives be lost. I think that's reasonable.
Right. Yeah. So again, I can keep lacing details on this. Like, let's say that we have a couple of 16-year-olds who were foolish and got pregnant, and they're absolutely ill-equipped to be parents. Let's say, for example, that these are 2 16-year-old girls living on the street who have absolutely no way to care for themselves, let alone a baby. They don't even know how to get started. Maybe they're addicted to substances, and the pregnancies are going to be really dangerous for those babies because they're addicted to substances. Let's be careful. TikTok doesn't like us talking about substances, which is why I'm using that word instead of the D word. So I know you're new to TikTok Live, so it's just I will have to auto boot you if you say the name of any particular substance that's illegal. So let's not. But let's say that they're addicted.
Good for TikTok on that front.
I disagree. I think that it's slowing us down in this very meaningful conversation that we're having. I'd like to be able to say the name of the HDRUG instead of having to spell it out like I'm talking to a kid. We're talking about some adult stuff here. Let's say that we have 2 addicts of that particular substance living on the streets with no family, no support system. They're both 2 months pregnant and they're seeking abortions. You would rather deny their abortions even if it meant an 8-month-old baby being murdered in front of its mother?
I mean, given this example that you're giving, and you have to think about the prudence associated with protecting individual lives, and if I think that there's a really high likelihood that those girls are unfortunately, tragically going to use substances in such a way that it kills their unborn child, then I'm obviously going to prioritize the lives.
I'm not suggesting a situation where they're going to be killed. I'm suggesting that their lives are going to be fucking miserable and they might be born with birth defects. I want to point out what you did, which is that I brought up some details that suggested that kind of made it worse, maybe because these are abortions that I would be more in favor of supporting because of those circumstances. But you made the leap to make it so that those infants wouldn't make it, which then just makes it 2 lives versus 1. So it's easy for you to say the more obviously palatable
I did do that, Oscar, watching. Because I was just very worried that I would be caught on that later. But in the case that I'm not worried about them dying, I'm still going to pick those 2 lives. I'm still picking those 2 lives.
I think that demonstrates that your ethics are wacky. I don't think Earth is a better place after you making that decision. I think it's a worse place.
Let me make an argument to you. Hear me out. Mm-hmm. I don't think that it's fair to look at certain lives as being more or worth living than others. And I think that leads to immediately very problematic implications as soon as people start applying that to more complicated historical scenarios. I don't think that just because a baby will have a defect, or just because a baby would be miserable, or just because a baby would be more miserable, means that we should have our ethics oriented around that, because otherwise then you start getting into questions. It's like, should slaves or Holocaust victims have had children, or should they have faced a moral obligation to have an abortion? Right? Like,
but you can ask the same question before having sex in the first place. You can say, is it reasonable for us to have sex? Is it reasonable for us to bring a person into this world? It doesn't have to be a slave or somebody during the Holocaust. It can just be any person. It can be a 16-year-old who's pregnant on the street and addicted to a substance that's going to make that child's life miserable.
I support abstinence. I support using contraception if people are not going to be abstinent, if they're young people. Like, I just simply think that my position on this is one where I don't want to tell people who are in the situation of being pregnant that their baby's lives are less valuable than someone else's just because they would be miserable.
So there's
I think that's evil.
The problem that I have here is that you are making the decision, and there were a couple of things that you said would make the decision the other way. You could imagine the details being a little bit worse than I presented, and then you would prefer to allow the abortions. I'm asking you why. Fundamentally, what we're discussing is, why is it your decision instead of those people, those women, those young women, their parents, they're the guardians, whoever's in charge of dealing with that? It's messy in the example I gave. If parents in the picture, but
totally get it. I mean, if the baby is a person, I think it's just as messed up to say, why is it the decision of the mother to kill another person?
I said earlier in the call, I don't grant personhood to people during the first trimester, and you agreed.
Well, yes, and I'm saying, I did not agree that people in the first trimester are not people. I agreed that is your position. I think that it starts from the heart, like wherever that is.
What does the heart matter?
Well, it's a theological position.
What about people? Wait, there are people who have mechanical hearts. Are they not people?
No, they're totally people. I'm saying when in the lineage of a human life, and I can cite sources for this, but I don't really want to get into the rabbit hole. In the lineage of a human life, ensoulment happens at a certain point. I don't think that happens when you are an embryo, because twins can still happen. I'm actually a biological twin. I'm not an identical twin, but I'm not a fraternal twin. But that's why I think it's kind of absurd to say that an embryo has a soul, because an embryo could literally be two people and there can't be two souls in the same body. There's like a whole bastion of theology about this. Okay. But what I will instead explain is, like, you need to come up with some kind of point when you would do it. And maybe it happens earlier, maybe it happens later. But I think I would be safe and say that the heartbeat is a reasonable place.
Well, okay. So I don't think that the heartbeat's a reasonable place, because I am something of a materialist. I don't believe in God. Don't believe in anything. I'm pretty comfortable identifying as an atheist.
Plenty of atheists have believed in souls historically, for whatever it's worth.
I'm not one of them. I don't believe in.
Do you think it would be immoral to legislate based on souls, even if you are an atheist?
I think it would be unconstitutional.
That's an interesting point. Why do you think that's the case? It seems like we legislated based on policies surrounding the immaterial elements of life throughout all of American history. Do you believe in free will, Oskar?
That gets philosophically hairy, because I can say yes or no depending on how we define free will. Do
you believe in a libertarian free will? Do you think that someone can make any choice given certain circumstances, or do you think people are ever bound to make certain decisions?
I'm a materialist, so I actually think that we are like just made of atoms and molecules, and in some sense we're just machines.
Oh, where's the beauty, Oskar? But my gosh, the transcendent reality.
I'm sorry. Am I supposed to change what I think the universe is like because it's not beautiful enough, or am I supposed to assess what I actually think is going on? The quantum physicists are pretty sure that there's randomness that introduces something that the philosopher might call free choice, because we can't actually predict in the sense that Laplace's demon could, with clairvoyance about the future, because you know the state of all the billiard balls in this atomic experiment that we're all a part of. It gets very philosophically hairy, but we're getting away from this personhood thing. And Burger World sent me $5 on YouTube Super Chat to add, if a person is tied to one's soul, then show me on the doll where the soul is. Closest thing would be the brain, which starts. Jesse, you took it off the screen while I was reading it. Jesse, I forgive you. Which starts developing at about 6 weeks, and yeah, that's kind of, the brain starts developing at that thing. But my what I want to get back to is that, like, because I don't believe that in souls as a concept at all.
Should I answer that question after you're done?
Sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all I would say on that front is I think that any conception that relies on a material model of the soul is ultimately going to be in error. I don't think it exists in a certain part of the human body. I believe in a libertarian free will. I truly believe that people can repent and make difficult decisions under any circumstances. I don't think anyone is ever compelled to sin or harm another person. I truly think people deserve what they earn and what they lose. And the only way for that to be true is for me to believe that there's some element of human agency that is removed from the fact of one's material corporeal existence. And plenty of atheists have believed this.
Okay,
like Simone
right.
de Beauvoir,
Another one of my donors immediately took my response right out of my mouth, so I'm going to cheekily get the donation read in it. W. Jesse for managing those for me. She's keeping track. Because Elusive Viper sent $10 to add to the conversation. The problem with coming at this from a religious perspective is that your argument holds no value to anyone who doesn't share your religious beliefs, which is exactly where I was going to go next. Like, you think you're right about this because of your religion, but then I can make up my...
I believed in free will before I believed in God. And I think that many people do.
Hold on, but you give personhood based on the existence of a soul, which is tied to your religious beliefs. So I think you're kind of trying to weasel out of that determination.
No, actually, I really disagree with you. I think I have theological suppositions that lead me to also believe that. But I'm going to note that belief in the soul greatly predates the Abrahamic tradition and association.
But
with
all I said is your belief in the soul, which you have. So why? Like, I'm not understanding why you're derailing.
Belief in the soul doesn't have to do anything with religion, though. Like, you don't need to be a religious.
I don't think you have to be a Christian. I don't, you can be other religions, but as an atheist, I look at anybody who believes in a soul, and I think that's a religious person. Even if it's a religion that they made up that has nothing but souls, and they just say, oh, I think people have a spirit that lives on, or whatever thing it is, that to me makes it a religious belief.
You're referring to a very, very tiny minority in America, Oscar. The vast majority of Americans believe in the soul, religious or not. Like, overwhelming majority. We're talking over 90%.
And I believe those to be, however mild, religious beliefs. Why are we arguing this?
In that case, I really don't see what your pejorative is against religion then at all. If religion can include any kind of philosophical belief that extends beyond the material world, which almost everyone holds.
I actually like the way that you phrase that, because me, as the materialist and atheist that I am, would agree with that definition roughly. If you believe in something immaterial, that to me is a religious belief. I consider astrology to be religious thinking. I consider the loosey-goosey higher power thinking to be religion. As a person who just believes in the laws of physics and the things that we can study, I know that there's some stuff that's a little more complicated than that. Math doesn't exist, but it's obviously right. Like 2 + 2 = 4, even though we don't study that in nature. That's non-empirical thinking. I'm not solely an empiricist. I think that logic and reason exist outside of empiricism. But I think that if you're doing something other than using logic and reason to take in empirical data and understand about how the world works, anything outside of that structure to me is what I would call magical or religious thinking. I see the two as one and the same.
So I hear you on that, and I think that's a definition I can work under. But then I guess I want to know why you think that any of that is remotely problematic to legislate based on.
Because I think that you're wrong. I think that you're wrong that souls exist. I think there's no evidence in souls existing, and I think we should legislate on things that we can actually identify as accurate about the world to make sure that the laws we write represent values that are respected for all people. And I think that there is an ethical framework that would make it more sensible. By the way, for those joining, we are talking to somebody who would rather have an 8-month-old baby be murdered in front of its mother than allow 2 voluntary first-term abortions to happen. So you value
murder, to be clear.
But they're not a murder according to my definition, because the victim in a murder has to be a person, and I don't ascribe personhood to somebody who's that early along in their development.
Can I push you on that? Why do you think that personhood is something that happens at any point, rather than just saying that, oh, these are all the same and there's just differences in degree? If you don't have any concept of the immaterial. I
think personhood is a legal label, like adult. Nothing magical happens on a person's 18th birthday, but we have to make a legal distinction between children who are irresponsible.
So then why can't I make a legal definition for personhood, even though I don't believe this to be at conception? Why can't I just do that? Because if it's just a legal construct.
Because the reason the legal construct exists is to protect the rights of personhood, and I establish my ethics around what rights people should have based on suffering.
But you don't know what a person is.
I have a definition of person that you haven't asked me. You're not interested in that.
Well, then tell me. I thought you were saying it's legal.
Well, it is a social construct what we decide to call a person, because nothing interesting biologically happens on some special day. It's not like the personhood cell shows up.
I agree with you, but there are different social constructs about what constitutes a person, right? So how do you determine which social construct you use? Some people say it starts at conception. Some people say it happens after birth. You clearly hold neither of those positions. So how do you come to your position?
suffering. When can the person suffer? Once the person can suffer, then I start valuing their personhood.
And how do you recognize whether or not someone is truly suffering? Do they tell you?
I believe that consciousness is the result of neurophysiology. I think it happens in the brain. And I think that consciousness is necessary for suffering, because suffering is a component of phenomenology, what one person experiences, the phenomena that a person experiences. So I listen to the neurologists when they tell me that prior to about 20 or 24 weeks, we're pretty fucking sure that these undeveloped fetuses do not have the neurostructures necessary for suffering. So I don't have an ethical standpoint about what happens to those cells, because
that's interesting. But then it sounds like you're saying that suffering is actually not connected to a legal definition. It's actually, personhood is not connected to a legal definition. It seems like you are applying some other definition, which is rooted in the ability to suffer. Does that sound reasonable?
Some other definition rooted in suffering. I'm saying that we have to come up with it is this social construct. I'm saying that it's sensible to make that social construct around suffering instead of arbitrary religious distinctions.
Because you think suffering is inherently problematic.
It's not. I think that suffering is inherently bad without all else kept equal. There are exceptions. Like I suffer when I do push-ups, but then I live a life as a stronger, healthier person. So I can average the benefit against the cons and say that reduces my suffering overall to do push-ups. So I'm not saying that suffering should be avoided at all costs and you should lay in bed all day.
No, I don't think you said that.
Right. So I just want to make clear that it's not like suffering bad, therefore unacceptable. The child suffers when we.
And I hope I wouldn't make that argument. That would be facetious.
I'm just clarifying. I want to, because you and I seem to think about suffering very differently. So I want to be clear that I can accept that a child suffers when we sanitize the skinned knee in the playground, but that's to prevent further suffering. That's to prevent an infection or something bad. So it's not that I'm not that absolutist and ridiculous about it. And I don't think that you think that I am. I just think that ethically, is it wrong for me to cut a boulder in half, a rock, a brick?
It really depends what you're making that cut into, right? Like you could probably make some evil things with a symbol, right?
Yeah. Without, I'm not cutting the brick in half so it's light enough for me to throw it at somebody. There's no ulterior motive. I'm just in the forest
I think it's a neutral act. I agree.
Right. So I think that in the context, from the perspective of a fetus prior to 20 to 24 weeks, I think the same thing. I think it's a neutral act because I don't ascribe any ethical value to things that can't think or experience phenomenology or consciousness or suffering or any of those things.
I think that this is, I'm really glad that you're framing it in this way, even if I disagree with you, because I think that this is where the impasse happens between secular and religious people and why we often talk around each other.
And that's why I'm not letting us get around this, because I think we can sit here and yap at each other about the conclusions based on these very different foundations.
But who gives a shit, right?
Right.
So let me talk to you about why I think that that's the wrong way of anchoring to what a person is. I think that suffering is a morally important category, but I do not think it is always bad, and I do not think it is always good, even holding all things being equal. Right? I think that when you think about whether or not suffering is bad, I can think of many people where it is good that they are suffering. I think suffering is purifying. I think it is something that people deserve. And this is an example that we talked about yesterday, actually, that I would be interested to talk about again. I think that it's totally justified and good for someone who has done an evil thing like Jeffrey Epstein, and yes, let's say Donald Trump, for them to suffer, even if there is no benefit socially achieved. And the reason why I think that's the case is, one, I think I have a biological intuition that this is the case. I think that people naturally push for punishments. Jonathan Haidt writes about this. Plenty of social psychologists write about this. But I also think that there is a kind of moral valence that we all have, that people deserve rewards and people deserve punishments. And I think that comes from a spiritual understanding. But you don't need that spiritual understanding. If I'm an ethical emotivist, a la Alex O'Connor, that seems to be a justification for me to support that kind of policy. But it seems like you would oppose that. And I'm kind of curious why you would oppose that.
Well, I disagree with something you said a second ago, which is that your structure on this isn't dependent on your religion. Because I think without a religious perspective on suffering and personhood, which you have, you'd be left to find some other ethical consideration, and that's kind of the impasse that we get at here, which is I think bigger than the issue of abortion and bigger than the specific issue of personhood. Because something you said yesterday that I think was very interesting is that you thought that it was nihilistic of me to have the sort of ethical framework that I do because I lack religious convictions, and this zooms us much farther out to this issue of how we handle ethics at all.
Yep.
Is it straightforward for you? Like I just want to make sure I understand this correctly. Do you think that my ethics are bad because I'm not religious?
Well, I think evil is a privation from the good, and I think that your view is less good than the religious view. So in a sense, it is bad, but I think that you are someone that truly believes in the good and advocate for it. And insofar as that's the case, I think you're beating a lot of people. The thing that I'm concerned about is when people over-anchor to this understanding that suffering itself is bad. Like, to a certain extent, I do think that the ultimate question in philosophy is, why do we not commit suicide? Why do we not kill ourselves? There's a great essay on this.
Oh, dude, I'm so sorry. I have to kick you for saying that. I am so fucking sorry. I kind of dislike you because of your ethics, but I really wanted this to continue. I should have given him the TikTok spiel. You cannot say those words on TikTok. We have to continue this another day. I am so sorry. I didn't normally, when we get into the neighborhood of talking about self-unaliving, which is what we have to call it to get past the TikTok filters, I can say, hey, remember to call it self-unaliving. I just didn't see it coming. Fucking L host on not allowing the conversation to continue because I fucked it right up. I truly am fucking disappointed. TikTok shop is amazing, according to the chat. Don't you guys think TikTok shop's amazing? Shouldn't we all go spend money at the TikTok shop? Holy shit. Wow. I'm sorry, Aaron. I think Aaron will be back. I hope he knows that I'm not just running. That is just yesterday he couldn't figure out how to get connected, and because his TikTok account didn't have privileges, so he like reset up his wife's account to use hers because it had privileges. So this is a person who hasn't been on TikTok Live before. There's a lot to get into with Aaron, and I want to do it. Message me privately, Aaron. I think I do want to start an episode with you, cover quickly some of the stuff that we talked about here, and get back into it at the beginning of an episode. And I was just going to get to the super chats because we have a lot of people who want to contribute to the conversation. Where was I, Jesse? Can you tell where I was?
Yeah, so since we can read all the super chats now, you go ahead and start right at that top Chronos one.
Top Kronos. Oh yeah, that's right. Kronos sent $2 on YouTube Super Chat to say Jesse needs a mic. W Jesse. Yeah. Yes, thank you, Trash Cat, for the Galaxy. We are going to get Jesse a mic. I should have set one up before the show. We have an extra spot on this
We decided yesterday we didn't have enough plugins for me to listen and be mic'd.
No, we can do that. Oh, we have to unplug the piano, but unless I'm planning on playing piano on the show. But we can use the other interface going forward. We'll figure it out. Anyway, yeah, doing production stuff. Shit. I hate to derail a show like that because I feel like we were going down such an bizarre, interesting rabbit hole. I know. Tavi sent $5 on YouTube super chat to say W Cat Ballads because Suki was playing the piano, which is plugged in instead of Jesse. Burger World. I already read that one, right? I read Elusive Viper. Do you think a child earns a kidnapping or bodily harm? That's part of God's will. Tavi sent $5 to add that, and then Jazz sent $5 to add. You said Abrahamic faith, is abortion allowed if the woman cheated? The biblical texts say yes, according to the verse about the bitter waters. Yeah, there is a moment in the Bible where an abortion gets prescribed. So those are both questions about his actual faith that I could have dug into if we got there. And then Lucky Phil is reminding me with $2 Australian on YouTube Super Chat that he sent me $2 on Buy Me a Coffee. He said, with this guy's philosophy chops, how can you believe in a God which is both omnipotent and omnibenevolent? If God knows the outcomes of all things, then he creates some people to fail and burn in hell, and he creates some with cancer, plague, famine, mango, Mussolini, etc. Two trains of thought are A, it's beyond our human comprehension, trust me bro, or B, it's contradictory and irrational. I agree completely, Lucky Phil. I don't end up talking about like religion on the show very much, but I was kind of excited to dive down the rabbit hole and like have a really lengthy like discussion about the conflict about religion and ethics and politics in America, because that's the impasse with me and Aaron. But I do want to keep talking to him about it. So I don't know if I saw him in the chat. He was all right, cool. He understands. Yay. Okay. So Araxis sent me $2 on Cash App to say his use of the word secular sounded derogatory. Well, that's kind of the thing. He called me a nihilist yesterday for my ethical perspective, if I heard him correctly. I wanted him to be able to flesh that out and discuss it with me. But today's not the day because he stepped on one of the landmines of being on TikTok Live, which is the sort of thing that I said on a live to a person when I should have said a more direct word yesterday. I did it in person and it was embarrassing. Ugh. I was drunk, though. I forgive myself. David. W's for David because he's been a real MVP donor lately. He says, I'm absolutely livid that this guy would intentionally kill an 8-month-old versus 2 fetuses at 10 weeks. Get this guy away from people. I kind of agree, and I wanted to keep harping on that. Yeah, my goodness. I really did want to get into that. Oh, I didn't even get through all the YouTube super chats. Katie sent $2 to say, caller, I don't want to Christianize Taliban. Yeah, that sounds to me like what the guy wants, and I wanted to get to all that. A bunch of jumbled letters sent me DKK 89 units of that. Is that a lot of money or a little money? I have no idea, but I'm thankful for it. He says, just found you recently. I love you. Keep them accountable and don't let them spew 10 points at a time, but keep going back to the force point. Really makes you stand out. A breath of fresh air. Yeah, I have to say it all the time on the show. That sounds very interesting. I'd like to talk about that after we talk about this question you dodged or whatever. It's kind of my strategy on here. Lucky Phil sent another $2 on YouTube Super Chat to say, could this guest be back for the evening show? Aaron, what are you doing at 7 p.m.? I have tentative 7 p.m. Central Time. If you're still listening, message me. I also have him on Instagram. Maybe if the guest falls through tonight, it will be maybe Aaron's the evening show. We'll talk about that after we're live. We'll figure that out. But if the guest does get back that I had scheduled and we iron it out, I'd still prefer that. But yeah, Aaron, I'll message you probably today, because I want to continue the conversation. Jess sent me $5 on Venmo to say, ask Aaron with his opinion on all life being equal. Does he also have issue with the selective process of organ donation receptionist, i.e. based on the probability of survival? The breathing child has a higher likelihood of continuing to live than that of the first trimester embryo. Yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, and I wanted to get into that like trolley problem of like really like tinkering with the details of this. Because for me, like, to be clear to everybody, I would allow like 100,000 first trimester. I would allow an arbitrarily large number of voluntary first trimester abortions. And when I say voluntarily, let's be clear that these are ones that the mothers want. I'm not talking about subjecting women to abortions. I would allow an arbitrarily large number of them versus one 8-month-old infant dying in front of its mother or under any other circumstances, really. And that to me was like that hot take. I think that so many people are like, so few people ask that question in discussions about abortion. Like, can we just ask, would you really allow one baby to be murdered violently to prevent 10 abortions or whatever? Like, that to me just makes it nonsense, and it demonstrates that his ethics are just really not in accordance with what actually causes suffering here on Earth. But that, you know, that's why we got to the impasse, is because we have very different opinions about what the meaningfulness of suffering on Earth. Jesse can let me know if I missed something important, because I want to get back into it after I remind everybody that they can support the show by following on all the other platforms by going to the link tree in the bio. Get in the Discord. There's a Discord link on there. Convince the mods you aren't going to wreak havoc on the Discord, and they'll let you in, because that's growing fast, and that's pretty exciting. But we're going to talk to Lunar Eclipse, Lunar with 2 R's _ Eclipse with 2 E's, and we are going to see if this is another interesting conversation to keep the show going today.
Tori said that they would lean off screen if we had that collar on. That very funny.
Tori said that they would lean off screen if they had that collar, and that I'm going to leave that as an inside joke for the members only stream. People know what I'm talking about when I say lean off screen. That probably won't be the gag tonight. I can't do that every week. That'd be a bit much. I don't think that Lunar Eclipse meant to join because they're not connecting, so I think that they're probably teacupped. So let's remind everybody to get double tapping on the screen on TikTok to get the show pushed out to that For You page. And we're going to talk to asyplus, ASYPLUS. Hello, how old are you?
31.
31. Are you a Trump supporter?
I am not, but I'm wondering if you are willing to take a question about abortion that I don't think has been asked on your show yet.
Yeah, I'll decide whether to keep or kick you after you ask the question, but I will answer it either way.
Okay, sure. So I think if you support elective abortion, you mean the woman should have absolute autonomy in that decision, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so if we decide that elective abortion should be legal, then let's consider a situation where the woman actually wants to keep the child, but the father does not. So in this situation, should we allow the father to say, I don't want this child, I don't want to raise it? Should we let the father walk away without any financial repercussions, i.e. alimony?
Yeah, well, I think that's like unfair. I do think that, yeah. I do think that fathers should be responsible for child support because they committed the same mistake that the mother committed of creating a child that they didn't want to create in the first place. Like that I recognize is a split decision where the courts should make both people accountable for making sure that child's protected. I recognize that it's a bummer for men, but I do think that the decision just still is up to women because there's this other really unfair thing, which is that the baby's inside them and not the man. And I just, that's the rule change that I allow to make that more fair, because the situation is unfair to begin with.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you support elective abortion, this stance is the one you have to have, that the father should have a say in this, and he should, quote unquote, be able to financially abort the child.
No, I don't agree though. I think we do disagree. I think that the father should have to pay child support if the mother chooses to keep the baby. But yeah, because he made the mistake that creates a situation where he might have to pay child support when he caused the pregnancy, because I recognize that's a joint effort. But I do recognize that it's a bummer for him that his fate is now in the woman's hands, because she can decide to keep the baby or not. I do just think that's fair, given the other details involved, namely that the baby grows inside of the woman's body, not the man.
Right, but we do give the woman the autonomous choice to abort or not. So the burden is hers, but also the biggest decision is also hers. So shouldn't we actually give the father the option to opt out?
No.
Okay. I see. I think so. I personally think that we should, but it also like it would be fair to give the father the option to opt out, but it could. I'm not so sure about this, but it could have some major repercussions in society, which we don't like.
Like what?
Like I'm not sure about the pragmatic consequences of this. Like, wouldn't fathers like be dropping out constantly, and that would disrupt society in a major way?
If what happened? I'm sorry, I feel like you keep flip-flopping on whether or not the men are being held financially accountable for their own children. What do you mean?
No, if we allow them to just say, I don't want this child, I'm walking away, and we don't make them pay child support, I think that would require some major support from the state, like major support from the state towards single mothers.
I would be in favor of such support. But yeah, I'm sorry. Do we disagree about something? I'm like not tracking.
I think to be fair in this, I think if we are to allow elective abortion, we should say it'll be fair to let fathers opt out.
No, I don't think that's reasonable at all. What societal concerns do you have? Elusive Viper on YouTube Super Chat pointed out cheekily that the father does have the right to abort any pregnancy he is carrying. There's no difference in rights. Men are allowed to get abortions.
What do you mean?
You're perfectly welcome to abort any fetus you're carrying, sir.
No, I mean financial abortion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a financial right. And I already explained that I feel like the moment where the burden is created, the financial burden is created, is when you make the mistake of causing a pregnancy that you didn't want. That puts you on the hook. It's not up to the woman to burden you with that. You've already burdened yourself with that. She happens to have the option to not burden you with that by aborting the fetus. You're thinking of her decision causing the man to have to do something, but he already did that to himself by getting drunk that Thursday night. That's his fault. It's up to the woman if she rescues him from that as a side effect of rescuing herself from having to go through with a pregnancy. That's the difference in thinking here between you and me, I think.
Can't we also say that it's the woman's fault that she drank that night?
It was, but yeah, that part was mutual. The financial responsibility, I do just believe, however unfair it may be, life isn't fair. The circumstances that we get born into the world aren't fair if you're a male or a female on this earth on average. Like that, like life sucks. It's miserable. Mother Nature's a cold bitch. It works that way. So yes, they both make the mistake, and it just so happens that because the woman's bodily autonomy is the thing that's up, like both are financially responsible by default, right? The idea that both parents would support the child. Only one of them is responsible in terms of bodily autonomy, and because the woman has that extra issue, I make the choice hers. That makes more sense to me, even if I recognize that it is a bummer that the guy is sitting there wishing he had more control over it than he does. I just think that still is, in every single case, more fair, because they are both faced with financial burden, but only one of them is faced with a bodily burden.
Okay, so you think that it is kind of unfair, but the unfairness just stems from biology, basically?
Yeah. I mean, I'd also point out that if we're going to go broad scope, it is still like more privilege on this planet to be born a man than a woman. So I don't care that this is one particular little nuanced situation where the man can go, gosh, I wish I had the right to decide if we're going to abort that baby or whatever. Like, yeah, bummer, dude. Tough shit. You got everything else. You got the patriarchy. You got the greater likelihood of being hired for a job that involves management. You got the lower likelihood of being raped. You get all these other privileges that come with being a man in society. I'm not going to boo-hoo about the fact that you might be on the hook for some child support when you did make the mistake that caused that to happen for yourself. I'm just not at all impressed by this little like asterisk about how it would be nice from the local perspective of the man to have more control over the outcome of this decision.
Okay, that's fair enough. I can respect that opinion.
Oh,
yeah, all right. That's what I got.
That's all you got? I mean, are you convinced of that opinion, or do you still think the way that you still believe what you believe?
No, I'm not convinced. That question came up in a discussion that I had with my friend about abortion, and I just thought that's an interesting thought. I wasn't quite sure how I feel about it. I just wanted to know your opinion about it.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you hopping up. We can move on.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Interesting little sub point about abortion, but yeah, I don't care. Tough shit, man. Deal with it. Anyway, Barefoot 12, all one word, is our next caller, and maybe we'll get an actual Trump supporter 1 hour into the show after I remind everybody to go to the link tree in my bio and follow me on the other platforms and contribute to the show and stuff. That stuff is very helpful. Hello, how old are you? Hello, you're gonna get me a copyright flag. Hello, goodbye. No music on my show. We've got some donations to read over on Venmo because Bethany sent me $5 to say, abortion is a life event. By the guest ignoring the events leading up, soul or no soul is more harmful than the initial grief of an ectopic or development. I'm sorry, I'm not quite following the wording there. We need to trust women rather than the church reaching into offices to continue the oppression of women. Do they mean offices or orifices? Probably both. I just respect the bodily autonomy of women more than the bodily autonomy of a ball of cells that can't think. But hopefully we'll get more into that with Aron on another occasion. David sent another $5 on Venmo to say we can use the scary terminology pro-life likes to use in the example. That 8-month-old is going to be bisected with forceps and dismembered while still alive. Yeah, we could even make the kid older. What if it's an adult? What if it's a 7-year-old? What if it doesn't matter, right? Like, we draw the line somewhere. That's what we were arguing about, is the line. That guy's line is in a very silly place. David sent another $5 after that to say, you don't have bodily autonomy when it comes to your finances in this situation, comparing apples to oranges. I think he sent that before I kind of arrived at the same thing, which is like, it is already pretty fair. Noodle, get out of here. You're gonna pull cables. You're not allowed under there when you're playing with your ball. You're only allowed under there to sleep. Go over there. Good girl. Very good listening. Thank you. Go bother Jessie. Of course she is. No collars. It's another day. I think my saving grace over these last couple of weeks, where people have been having a really hard time getting collars, is that I do take other calls. I do take more, There's there's plenty of hosts who will really only take like a pro-Trump versus anti-Trump call, but I'm interested in talking about whatever. This is the Oskar Quentin show. I just do keep it to Trump versus non-Trump most of the time because that's kind of the big thing that's happening in the country. I think all of this is really predicated on that, and I do just think, like, separately from everything we talked with Aron about, it is fucking silly to value that particular issue over all this other stuff. Like, he said he was a single issue voter on it. But again, I can respect the fact that if you think it's murder, if you truly feel that a first trimester abortion is as evil a thing as murdering a baby with a hammer, which that guy thinks, then yeah, there are a lot of murders happening by that definition, which is why we're stuck on whether or not it's murders. I think his value system is really, really warped. And that's the danger of religion. As an atheist, that's like the thing that's spooky to me about religion, which is that, like, if that guy can say that he'd rather 10 babies be murdered with a hammer than 20 be aborted during the first trimester, what other horrible things might he be willing to do in service of his religious belief? Because I think that is truly quite horrible. But I don't know. Maybe he's still listening, and I'm polluting the conversation by saying that to him, because I do really want to talk about it. I want to figure that out. I just think that puts you at danger of saying that, like, we can't point to the suffering. We can't actually point to the misery that this causes. We could point to the misery it causes women to not be allowed abortions. He doesn't seem to care at all about that, because he puts the sanctity of life higher than it. If you can do that sort of mental gymnastics to make it acceptable to murder babies with a hammer, you might do something really horrible, like make it acceptable to murder babies with a hammer. Sorry, he already did that. Like, what the fuck, right? Like, this is how we end up with a Holocaust, right? What if your religion tells you that it's the others who deserve to be killed with hammers? Like, what? Like that's fucking frightening. That's why I think that type of thinking is super, super dangerous. Oh God. Oh man. Are we in TikTok jail? Are we on the For You page? We might be in TikTok jail. We're not getting callers today. Oh well.
Chat a while ago, but they seem to have run off.
The ops have run off. Kimikaze's here. Maybe we'll talk to Kimikaze. Kimikaze, there's nobody in the queue. Let's see what you want to talk about today. Jesse says no. Jesse, we need to get you a microphone. We could get you a microphone right now. Do you want to get a microphone?
I don't have anything like noteworthy.
You're talking right now and they can't hear you.
Yeah. I don't have anything noteworthy to say.
Okay, fine. How do you call in there? If you don't have a request button right here above the Oskar Quentin 2 logo, then you don't yet have request privileges on TikTok, which is a shame. So you need to engage more. Send more comments, watch more lives. TikTok will eventually give you privileges. But if you click on this button right here, that says request, that'll put you in the request queue, and I can accept you into the show. The chats are erupting about not having Kimikaze come through. Yeah, did we even ban him? I can never remember who we've decided on a temporary or permanent ban for, just for being not so productive, because that is kind of the tone with Kimikaze.
Oh nope, not me. That's a mistake.
Jesse's in the request queue, but were you just double tapping the live over there? Is that what was going on?
I'm trying to see somebody invited Rob, and the invite stayed.
Okay, we got Jonathan Schober Jr. Schober, the German spelling. Hello, how old are you?
28.
28. Are you a Trump supporter?
I am not.
Why have you called in?
Because it was quiet, and I am kind of a converted, deconstructed Texan conservative, and I'm kind of processing like capitalism and socialism and competition and kind of the ethics around that, and I was curious to hear your thoughts around that.
Yeah. Sure. I'll probably move on when we get another caller, just to keep it a little more operational for the show, but I'd love to get into that. You want to give me like a more specific question or prompt, or tell me some of your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing is like I am a tech bro. I have been successful. I have been winning in capitalism, and I'm recognizing the privilege that I have as I interact with more less privileged people, as I'm interacting with more kind of atheist people and people on the left. I see how dangerous and harmful capitalism is. But I'm also I feel like a hypocrite because I'm doing well with it. I'm very successful with it. And I don't think the answer is I should go quit my job and be poor. I think I have ability to help people, but I'm kind of lost in this because I also enjoy a lot of things. I like the building aspect of it. I like the competition of it. And so I'm just kind of wrestling with where my ethics are on this.
Interesting. I think that it's not necessarily evil for a person to be successful at capitalism right now. I think a lot of the leftists disagree, but I think that you and I are maybe entering kind of a similar place, because for a long time, I haven't been running this show very long. I started live streaming in February, and it took off very quickly. So I'm faced with this ethical conundrum of how I paid my dues to the TikTok gods by live streaming for $1 an hour for months, which didn't pay for anything. And then there was a little while where it really helped my bills, and I was able to give it more time. And about a month and a half ago, something like that, 2 months ago, it really started exceeding my needs in terms of cost of living. So I am now among the privileged people in this society who make enough money to survive. It's a pretty comfortable club. It's really fun going to the grocery store these days. I like buying all that food I need so comfortably. Thanks everybody for the donations. So now I make a little bit more money than that. So I've hired some people to help grow the show because I want to, I value what I'm doing here ethically. Jesse, who's being live producer in the other desk on the other side of the room, keeping me on topic and shit. So I'm trying to honor the mission statement of this show by using the extra wealth that I get from it to make it better and bigger, and to more aggressively work on achieving the mission statement of the show, which is a little bit nebulous because it's kind of based on my own political perspective. So I can kind of just prompt you with that, where if you're making so much money that you feel bad about it, do some good with the money. That seems like the obvious thing to suggest to you.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I've been leaning with it too. It's not that like certainly where we are in America today, someone's going to be making the money, and I don't want to do it in a way that's exploitative. But if like I'm in this privileged position, I need to do something good with it when I can.
Right. And I mean, I don't know what your job is. Maybe your job is evil and I think you should quit, but I can't judge that. Let's just assume that you're like, I don't know, a web developer at head web developer at a very successful company. So you're making, $200K a year, something beyond your needs. Am I in the right neighborhood of the type of tech bro that you are?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we don't have to dox you. We can just say that I'm okay with you living your American dream. I'm okay with you having a nice house. I'm okay with you providing for your family with that. But if you do feel like you're earning more than your keep through your work, like find the thing that you care about that can be fixed with money and go do it. I mean, fundamentally, that's how this show is run. There are people like you who decide to spend that money on me by sending it to me, and then that lets me do this. People, I got into I like engaging with the trolls in the comments and making them angry because it's good for engagement, but somebody was giving me the get a job thing, and I was saying, I'm so good at talking about these issues with people that people really value how skilled I am at that, and it's just not a better use of my time to try to grow food or do some more conventional thing to survive. So instead of me having to do all of that to survive, I get to do this very particular thing that I'm super good at, and people give me money because they value me doing that. And I have looked up what this type of arrangement is called. This type of arrangement is called a job. I have a job. Society values what I do, so they pay for my needs, so I can focus on doing that. That's the economy of scale we get from society. I just happen to be good at yapping instead of farming. So people make that. So people who aren't so good at yapping, who can't contribute to this emergency that they see in the discourse space in the way that I can, they get to vote for me being a member of the discourse space by making sure that my bills are paid, so I can keep doing this. So just what's important to you, man? Like we don't all have. I don't have to tell you what to donate your money to. You can. I might have opinions about what's a good or bad charity, but do you think maybe that's the answer? Donate a chunk of it, decide what's reasonable for you to keep and donate everything above that.
I think, yeah, that's definitely reasonable. I obviously I can't go into all the details, but I'm not today in a position where I'm able to do that. But for so many years, I did do the tithing 10% and stuff like that. And now I look back at all those funds and see how they weren't actually helping the people that I would actually care about in a lot of ways. And so when I'm in a financial place where I can do that again, which I think I will be shortly, I'd love to be the guy donating $10, 17 times a day to your show because I like your show. I want to be helping out with SNAP benefits and fire rescue and just these things that come up. I've definitely I donate less than I do today for various reasons, but every time I do, it's because I really recognize that need and I really want to make a difference to help that person or that group.
Well, and that's, a lot of the people who go around and make those little angel investments in people's lives where it's you find a person in your life who's in some need. They just moved into an apartment and they're broke and they can't afford anything. Maybe you're the guy who just goes to IKEA with them and says, hey, let's get you set up. Let's get you that desk you need to do your job hunting. Let's get you all new spatulas and forks and stuff for the kitchen. Let's get you a new cookware set. That sort of boost can be so meaningful in a person's life. And we can sit around and argue about what's the best expenditure of money. You might feed more kids if you donate $1,000 to a food charity than if you give somebody $1,000 to get their life set up who's struggling. But at the end of the day, nobody's going to do a perfect job of distributing their wealth in a way that's perfectly equitable to all the needs in the world. We can just say it's better if people do pick a thing and donate that money. And the idea is that plenty of people donate money to the food charity. Some people help out a person in their life by buying that cookware set or whatever the hell it is, or repair that somebody's car needs or something like that. If we just increase people doing that, that's a better way to achieve positive change than to sit here and argue about exactly what charity your money should be spent on. Though that is something I want to maybe get the Discord working on, is coming up with that'll be a tab on oscarquentin.com when it gets built. Where should you send your money? And I'll have a big
needs and stuff would be awesome.
Big drop down menu of what do you care about? You care about animals? Here's animal shelters that we've approve of in your state with the Oskar Quentin stamp of approval. That's the type of thing that I want to work on to be able to give better guidance than I'm giving you right now. Thank you for the hat and mustache. So yeah, I think that it's okay that you're being successful, but you recognize the privilege, and I recognize my privilege. I recognize that I'm a white dude, so I get to like walk through life with that safety and security and privilege, and I'm trying to leverage that in a way that honors people who don't have that privilege. I'm doing it by running this show, and people are contributing to me doing it by literally contributing to the show. So that's the choice for you. Do you want to get out there and start getting involved, get your hands on something, get involved, or do you want to just pay somebody else to do it? And I think both are perfectly ethical, because maybe your superpower isn't working at the soup kitchen. Maybe your superpower is making money, and the soup kitchen would be much happier if you gave them $10,000 than if you came in on a Saturday or two.
Yeah,
do what you're good at. What you're good at is capitalism.
That is very interesting.
Fight the fucking man.
Yeah, I always I've recently been realizing I've just always been interested in tech and computers and stuff, and that's just come so natural, and I'm lucky that this economy really rewards that. If I was really into music or something, which I know you've got a background in music, it'd be a lot harder to make a lot of money and be successful in it, and just recognizing that there's a little bit of luck into it, there's a little bit of hard work into it, and it's not worth me throwing away that privilege because I feel bad about being privileged.
Well, right, because the solution isn't to go get a shittier job. That's silly.
Right.
That doesn't help anybody, and it shouldn't make you feel better. And that's the sort of thing that I think a lot of the tech bros and people who are privileged in that way maybe expect people like me to say. It's like, oh, fuck you for having such a cool job, and it's like, well, no, fuck you for not spending your wealth in a way that makes the world a better place. Fuck you for being selfish as you are with your money. It just sounds like you're the type to not sleep well at night if that's what you did. So I'm not so worried about what you're going to do with your money. I bet you're going to do wonderful things with your money based on the way you talk about this.
It's a lot of years in the making. I've come a long way from where I was 5 years ago. So I'm excited. It's a more fun place to care about people and believe people when they say stuff and then help out.
Isn't it fucking nice just caring about people? It's
great.
Yeah, I spend so much time talking to people who just don't seem to give half a shit about people suffering. They just don't care. Yeah. They're so upset about their tax money being spent on food that they just cannot even recognize the value of feeding hungry children so that they get a better education by going to school, well satiated.
Well, and it's not even that. The way I grew up, there wasn't I'm evaluating is it worth taxes to feed kids? It's just well, they're bad and they're wrong, so they deserve what they get. And it's just an ethical view of suffering that's horrible. It makes it all their fault.
Yeah, and my donors who are participating in some capitalism by sending me $5 on YouTube Super Chat, Jazz. Jazz sent that $5 to add. It's not evil to succeed in capitalism, but it is evil to succeed and not try to help other people with your success. That's why we hate billionaires. And the billionaires have really maximized that type of selfishness where the whole reason that
and I think that's a big part of it is I'm surrounded in this world. I'm surrounded with the people who are making lots of money and want to be the next billionaire and potentially have a path to it. And I'm kind of in the conflict because I'm well, I'm going to be probably making money, but I don't want to be hurting people. And so I have to kind of participate in the system that I don't love so I can help people.
Well, right. And the reason people like me say that there's no ethical billionaires is that there's just no, I could argue that maybe if what I want to do is start a charity of my own, maybe I need to save up a couple $1 million and people will see me sitting on that pile of money and be like, Oskar, you got this big pile of money. Why aren't you donating any of it to food charities or whatever? And I go, no. I've got specific plans. I'm trying to hoard this wealth so that I can do a big thing instead of contributing in a small way to something in particular. I can recognize that. But if that stack of money became a net worth of $1 billion, my problem is, no, it is ridiculous for you to suggest this isn't enough. I can't think of a charitable project that requires this amount of money to be amassed, this amount of power to be consolidated in one person. So I reject the idea that the scales can be balanced ethically for somebody who has that kind of wealth. Whereas I recognize if you're a brilliant stock picker, maybe you can take that $2 million nest egg, turn it into $20, $30 million, whatever craziness you can do by betting on Trump's Iran moves moves in the options market or something like that. Like if that's what you're good at, if that's your superpower, like get after it. But at a certain point, it's just like, now you have too much money, start sharing it. Otherwise,
do something with it. Yeah.
Otherwise, you holding on to it so long for your personal achievement is at the detriment to the things you want to accomplish with that money. So that's why I think we can't have ethical billionaires. They've necessarily gone past wherever that line is by accruing so much wealth, and that's certainly the case for like multi-billionaires, tens of billionaires, hundreds of billionaires. The 1 trillionaire that we have on Earth, that pesky motherfucker. Is he not a trillionaire anymore because SpaceX? Well, yeah, SpaceX stock went down after the IPO. So, well, anyway, he was a trillionaire.
All right, well, I got to drop. I'm excited to be the millionaire helping out people one day. I'm looking forward to that.
Keep in touch. I want to hear how it goes.
Sounds good.
W. Jonathan for succeeding at capitalism and recognizing that that's privileged and wanting to do some good with it. And like I said, I'm in kind of a, doesn't sound like I'm making as much money as him, but I'm excited to be on the other side and thinking about it that way. That's much better than worrying about food. I'm going to thank the members. It was going to be the next word out of my mouth. W. Jesse for keeping me on task. Because we have Somi Homie, we have Michael, and we have Jennifer, who just became members over on YouTube, which means they're going to get into the members only chat that's going to happen after the PM show, which is it's expected to happen around 7 p.m. today, Central Time, but that might change. So
That's the evening show.
Yes, it's happening after the evening show. Yes. You keep me on track. We're going to talk to Mao, MAU, all caps, and we're going to see if we get an interesting debate after I read another $5 from David Collins, who said you don't have bodily autonomy when it comes to your finances in this situation. Wait, did I already read that? What's happening here? Oh, no, I clicked the wrong one. David sent another $5 after that to say, I don't have anything smart ass to say. Hearing others talk about the hope we can work for in the future is good to hear given the current world. Thank you very much, David. Do I have another one? Yes, I do. No, do I? I can't. I don't know. I can't tell. How old are you?
Hey, Oscar. I'm 36.
Ooh, do you have a Bluetooth device connected?
I do, and I started the request when I wasn't in my car. So I am in my car now, and I'm going to hop off because of that.
Yeah, can't be driving on the show, both because the noise is bad, but also it's a TikTok terms of service violation, and I do not want to get in trouble for having you on. But I will remind everybody on TikTok, this is a good time to get double tapping away on the screen, because we got 40 minutes left in the show, and we do not have a caller, which means I'm just going to sit here and do the capitalist thing and remind everybody that there's a link tree in the bio where you can go become one of these donors who has sent money to my Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon. I think I actually had a Patreon member who joined overnight. I should go give them the shout out. So let's hop in here. Let's see, where are my notifications? I see I'm not good enough at navigating this app. I have no idea what I'm doing. Because, how's this name pronounced? Liesel? Liesel? I don't know. Became a $5 a month member over on Patreon. Appreciate you very much. And I think I did thank Ellen yesterday for becoming a $20 member. Appreciate that very much. Oskar Quentin on Patreon. The Patreon's like abandoned. I need to get in there and start doing stuff on there because there are people who support on there, and I don't want to leave those people hanging. But that was the idea for the members only stream, because there are a bunch of people who supply, some monthly donation by being a member on one of the 4 other social platforms that I use. So if you wanted to hang out and ask me stuff and talk about whatever, we can do that in the members chat. We kind of did that today. This is one of those episodes where we had maybe a normal debate call to start, and then we had the religion call, and now we're kind of just off in the weeds. But I'm okay with that happening because we're not going to get Trump supporters every single day. It is a Sunday on the 4th of July weekend, so I can give some lenience and suggest that people are just out barbecuing and stuff, as they should be on a day like today.
Wonder Dog, great question.
Wonder Dog's asked a good question here.
Very bottom of the TikTok.
Very bottom. Oh, if you could buy an election for $300 million, what would you do with $1 trillion? Yeah, what could you do with $1 trillion? Oh yeah, to the point about billionaires and trillionaires. It's the amount of money it costs to buy politics in this country, it's not even all that fucking expensive. If we look at the bang for the buck that the billionaires get by giving $100 million to a politician here or there, pursuant to what I was saying earlier about deciding to do things with your money that are ethical, what the fuck are the plans of a person who has $1 trillion? Somebody might say to go to Mars, but I would also just argue we don't need to have one person in charge of that. It still doesn't make sense that he has that much power and control over the situation. Because I will recognize the companies that he runs are doing, Elon Musk is he's helped the electric car market here. China's doing a better job on that. They're more affordable, EVs in China. Anyway, we're going to talk to Zeke, Z-E-K-A, and we're going to see if we get a debate out of this. Hello, how old are you?
50.
50. Are you a Trump supporter?
I am, yes.
Why is that?
Well, I want to respond to your prompt, if that's okay. That's the reason I'm here.
Okay.
So what do you mean, fuck ICE? Well, what do you mean by that?
I don't like ICE.
Okay.
Specifically,
I don't think it's intended for anyone to like it.
Okay. I mean, do you like it?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. There's our point of disagreement. I think they violate people's constitutional liberties.
What people?
People.
Which?
The kind.
You know, immigration customs enforcement, that's what they're doing. They're enforcing immigration laws.
True or false? Illegal immigrants have rights.
To some extent.
That's a yes. They do have rights.
To some extent, yes.
Yes.
Of course.
Right. They don't have as many rights as citizens have. I've read the Constitution. Do you recognize that they have constitutional rights?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that not protecting people's constitutional liberties, whether or not they're illegal immigrants, because I'm actually really upset about ICE violating citizens' constitutional liberties as well. But also the constitutional liberties of illegal immigrants. I think that, never mind the policies being enforced, I disagree about the policies being enforced, but I consider that a separate issue. I don't think I'd say fuck ICE if I hated the policies, but I thought that they were being enforced in a way that's legal and constitutional. But even if we agreed on the policies, which I doubt that we do, I take real serious issue with a law enforcement agency in this country violating anybody's constitutional liberties, citizens or otherwise.
Well, can you give us an example of what that looks like?
Yeah, if you stand on the street corner and yell at an ICE agent and they mace you with pepper spray, that's a violation of your First Amendment right.
Come again? I'm sorry?
If you stand on the street corner and you yell at an ICE agent and they mace you for it, that is a violation of your First Amendment right. That's an example. They assault protesters regularly, a lot. Widespread problem.
So isn't that a consequence of a reaction, like a counter to what they're doing? Do you think that what so-called protesters are doing, they're not obstructing in any way?
You can find examples of protesters obstructing law enforcement. That's why I always say from the street corner, because
I can say the same thing, right? You can find example of ICE officers doing that.
I'm not talking about those examples. I'm talking about the many examples of people who haven't violated the law who are being assaulted by ICE agents. That's specifically what I'm talking about.
Okay, but why? What are they doing? The so-called protesters, as you call them.
They're protesting.
Are they obstructing or not?
No, I'm talking about the ones that are not obstructing, according to the legal definition, or according to the legal definition of what obstruction is.
Okay, so how would you kind of separate these two? Because the ones that are obstructing and the ones that are not, they're all together within the same bubble. So how does
collective punishment? So me, if me and 10 of my friends go to protest ICE and we stand on the street corner.
Yeah, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant.
I want to make sure that I want to make sure I understand.
That's not what I meant.
I want to make sure I understand what you meant. So me and 10 friends go to the street corner. We're real mad. We're saying, "Fuck you, ICE. We fucking hate you. You guys are violating the Constitution. You sons of bitches." And then one of us picks up a brick and throws it at the ICE agent's vehicle, and we all go, "Whoa, dude, that wasn't allowable. That wasn't legal. Shouldn't have done that." What's supposed to happen to all of us?
Well, can you make a more precise example? Not 2 people, but how about 50 or 70 of them?
It was 10. Sure, 50, 70. One of them throws a brick.
Okay, great. So you have 70 people screaming, shouting at ICE. What would you categorize that as? You have 70
Didn't answer
people.
my question.
What is your question?
70 people. I'm happy with your bigger number. One of them throws a brick. Everybody else is exercising their constitutional liberties, exercising their First Amendment rights, yelling from the street corner. But one of them throws a brick. What do you think is an appropriate thing for the ICE agents to do with that crowd of people?
Well, to try to find the one that does that and then disperse the crowd, because at that moment it becomes, what's that term they use?
Unlawful assembly.
Illegal assembly?
Unlawful
something
assembly.
like that.
Right. Okay. Right. So in order for an unlawful assembly needs to be made, the police have to announce clearly to everybody that an unlawful assembly has been made. They do it over a loudspeaker. It's something that's happened in my presence quite a lot. But I'm talking about, say, for example, an ICE agent taking his mace out and like arbitrarily spraying into the crowd, hitting lots of people. That's the sort of behavior I'm talking about.
Well, they're obstructing.
No, they're not. Only one of the people of the people in the example was obstructing.
Only one person. So you think that the person that's only throwing the brick is the only one that is obstructing? What about the rest?
We specifically set up the example and stated clearly that the rest of them are not doing anything illegal. They are loud. They are annoying. The ICE agents don't like what they're doing.
That's the scenario you want to present, but that's not what we see in real life.
By the way, for everybody watching, I am an ICE protester in Minneapolis. This exact scenario where a big crowd of people are there, most of them obeying the Constitution, obeying the local laws, doing all that, and one or two or three people doing something bad, that sort of thing happens all the time. This isn't a magical situation. I actually have a video on this TikTok account of a person from my left throwing a snowball at an ICE agent who's in the passenger seat of a car, and then him macing through the cracked window somebody who didn't throw anything at him. So this exact scenario is the sort of thing that I have footage of that I have filmed myself here in Minneapolis. Like, this isn't a made-up hypothetical. I'm asking you what you think about that ICE agent who cracked his window and maced a crowd of people because somebody over there threw some ice.
Yeah, if you find examples of ICE behaving in an illegal, improper manner, they should be held accountable. Sure, but you're not talking about that. You're putting everything in like a box.
But this is a widespread problem, and they're not being held accountable.
It's not.
Oh, it's not. Trust me, bro. There's thousands of
It happens. Yeah, things happen, but it's not widespread.
It is an enormously widespread problem. Yeah, have you seen the footage that's coming out of places like DC? You didn't let me answer my question. Have you seen the footage that's come out of places like DC this weekend or Delaney Hall over the last couple of months?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, and you think that
if you want to hold on, let's just be clear about that. If you are going to sit here and say that the behavior from these people that have been happening over the course of months is in any way, shape, or form should be acceptable, then I don't think we're ever going to find any common ground.
I'm sorry, do you think it's unacceptable to go to Delaney Hall and stand where you're legally allowed to stand and yell at the people who come and go from the building?
No.
No,
that's fine.
Okay,
but that's not what they're doing.
But I'm talking about people who are doing nothing but that, being assaulted. I'm saying that that's a widespread problem, and I don't know why you're denying it. There's lots
I am not denying it. I already told you that I have not denied it. Again, I'm being fair here. I'm not denying it. I'm saying that there are cases where you will find this, that people, let's say, that are not really causing any issues, but in that group of people, you have an enormous amount of them that are. Like, we see them jump in top of the cars, get on their way. The police officers, the law enforcement are trying to get out of the hall, and they'll just block them and all of that. So it all becomes a mess at that point. Yes. So it's unreasonable for you to say that the ICE agents are doing something, let's say, illegal or removing people's rights or any of that when you have situations like that happen. They do happen. I'm not denying that.
It's a widespread problem that they violate people's rights in that way.
Yeah, it is. It's a widespread problem because it happens everywhere. You have all these people protesting, but they're not really protesting for the most part. They are obstructing.
Okay, but we're specifically talking about all the people who haven't been obstructing.
Okay, fine. So you think that your solution is to remove the whole thing?
Remove the whole thing? What?
ICE. Isn't that what your slogan says?
Well, I think that going forward in America, it's likely that in order to win back public sentiment around law enforcement involving immigration, we are probably going to have to abolish ICE and replace them with some other type of law enforcement agency that doesn't have any continuity of management. I don't want anybody working at ICE working.
Give us an example of that. What would you replace ICE with?
I was in the middle of explaining that when you interrupted me.
Okay, go ahead.
I think we should call it something other than ICE for branding purposes, but I'm okay with there being a law enforcement agency whose job it is to enforce immigrations and customs. Like, that's not the issue. The issue is the current people who are doing it. The humans who work there are fucking monsters who don't care about the Constitution. That's the issue. I am okay with immigration laws being enforced generally, but I think the current immigration laws are bad. We haven't really talked about that yet. And I think that the way that they're being enforced is monstrously illegal, unethical, and unconstitutional, and a danger to people's communities. I think
your evidence to that is because you've seen some cases where those things have been violated. Is that your claim?
I have some personal experience that I draw upon, but we can just look at it.
Great.
We have so much footage that we don't need my personal experience, but I do live in a place that was terrorized by ICE for months. We had an enormous disproportionate number of ICE agents here causing serious chaos, causing car accidents frequently by driving too fast down the street, not being responsible in their pursuits, tear gassing neighborhoods, sending children to the hospital because of that. I'm not making this shit up. You can look this shit up. It happened here in Minneapolis. It was really fucking bad.
Yeah, Minneapolis is not a place what I would use as an example of how ICE is being treated.
I'm sorry. You think that I shouldn't use the community I live in as an example of ICE terrorizing communities?
Well, no, because your community is actually a community that is anti-ICE 100%. And the
so
things
everybody here deserves to be punished for that? What the fuck are you talking about, dude?
Don't generalize like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I will not use Minneapolis as an example. That's what I say.
So the president said 4,000. The president sends 4,000 federal agents into a city that has a disproportionately low number of illegal immigrants compared to places in red states like Texas and Florida. They cause a bunch of havoc. Some of my neighbors get killed because I will just mind you, I'm right in the middle of Minneapolis. Alex Preddy and Renee Good are both members of my local community. They were in my Signal chat. These are people in my sphere. It's scary for me to see people get shot for almost nothing or nothing at all because I worry about getting shot for doing nothing. I get worried about getting shot for yelling and being upset about this. I have to worry about that. This was a huge widespread thing that caused a lot of damage, $600 million in economic damage over the course of just a few months, which even if we were going to say that if we were going to pretend it made sense for them to be going after Somali fraud, which they didn't do because ICE didn't achieve anything in terms of the fraud issues in Minnesota, especially in consideration of the fact that Florida is also worse on fraud. I know I'm just rambling here, but I'm saying that this is a really good example of what ICE is doing that I consider to be getting up to no good, and you just want to throw the example away. Why?
I'm not throwing the example away. I'm actually granting you some of the claims that you're making. I'm actually doing that. But what I am saying is that you're being extremely unreasonable to try to make a point. But let's move on to the whole
What did I say that was unreasonable?
What?
What did I say that was unreasonable? You said I'm being unreasonable.
Well, you're being unreasonable because you're taking a very small amount of cases that has happened.
It's an enormous number of cases. It was a widespread problem. It was scary to walk down the street.
You have to let me respond. If you want to let me respond, I will respond. I'll try to get to them. Sure, but just give me a second to respond. Yes, the amount of encounters, let's call it that ICE deals on a daily basis with these people it's pretty large. Would you say that?
Who's these people?
The illegal aliens in this country, yes, the people that are in this country illegally.
No, they're not even doing it. No, they're not even doing it.
It's unlawful.
They're not even doing a very good job encountering those people.
They're not?
No.
I'm not talking about whether it's a good job or not. We're talking about the amount, the number of times.
Right. They're not being very successful at increasing that number of encounters. No, they're not doing a good job.
So how many people would you say? I don't know if you can even answer this question. How many encounters ICE has with people that are in this country illegal on a daily basis in Minneapolis, would you say? Is that 1,000, 2,000, 3,000? What number would you say?
Did you say on a daily basis?
On a daily basis, yes.
It's not that many. No, that's how many people were removed during all of Metro Surge. Something on that order, a 4-digit number. We got different answers depending on whether you're listening to Bovino or Homan or Kristi Noem or Trump or Stephen Miller. So they're not being very transparent about it. But the number of people removed during Metro Surge is actually comparable to the number of agents that we sent. So we could say that in terms of the taxpayer expenditure, each one of those agents that spent 3, 4, 5 months here is somebody who, for whatever it costs to hire them to be here for that time, only accomplished one deportation. Which, if we compare to the efficacy of ICE under somebody like Obama, is egregiously bad.
I don't know if you actually heard what I said or you just pivoted to something else. I mean, did you understand my question? I can repeat it if you didn't.
Well, they're not transparent about the number of total encounters. They don't give us that number.
So you remember what I said, right? That you probably don't know the answer to that question. Neither do I.
Do you think it's reasonable to say that ICE is successfully deporting most of the illegal immigrants that they encounter?
ICE doesn't deport anyone.
They detain people who then get deported.
Exactly. Okay, great. So
congratulations. No. I think that's fucking disingenuous. I think everybody knew what I meant.
Disingenuous?
I think everybody knew that I meant, does ICE cause people to be deported?
Okay, so
I know they're not pilots. I know they don't fly the aircraft. They're the people who bring the people to the aircraft. That's fucking bullshit and demonstrates you're not interested in an honest conversation about this, but I'm going to proceed anyway. Do you think that ICE causes most of the illegal immigrants that they encounter to be deported?
Well, I hope so.
Okay, so if we know that number's a 4-digit number, we don't know what 4-digit number it is over the course of Metro Surge, because that's what people like Tom Homan, Gregory Bovino, Kristi Noem, Stephen Miller, and Donald Trump say. If we know that, we can expect that the number of encounters is pretty comparable, which means that it's not 1, 2, 3, or 4,000 a day. That's ridiculous. It's something more like 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1,000 a month, or every couple of months.
Really? So how do we get to this number?
The information suggests.
Okay, so let us look at this number. How many encounters, we're just gonna do a Google search, see what we get.
I'm not interested in what the Google AI says, by the way. I'm not going to...
Okay, you're not interested. All right, great.
I'm interested in your search. I'm not interested in Google AI. I do not listen to large language models on these sorts of data. These are exactly the sorts of questions they get wrong, especially in consideration of the fact that there is no publicly available resource that gives a clear answer on this. I cited the people who have said numbers on the TV, and all of those numbers are different. All of them are 4-digit numbers, which suggests to me that the real number is a 4-digit number.
Yeah, that's fair. But normally, or usually, or sometimes, they usually come with a source. Now, we can look at that source. Now, if it doesn't have a source,
my source is Gregory Bovino, Tom Homan, Kristi Noem, Stephen Miller, and Donald Trump. The people themselves.
And what is the claim that you're making, that according to them, they're not doing a good job or something? Like,
they're not even claiming to be performing all that well in terms of deportations. No.
Did they give a reason why?
No.
No. So you're saying that Donald Trump himself is saying, well, we're not just doing a good job.
Yeah, they declared it a success, and that seems to me ridiculous. They didn't really dent the number of illegal immigrants here very well. They could have accomplished more if they sent those ICE agents to somewhere like Florida or Texas or California, where most of the illegal immigrants are in the country. Because there's about 12 million illegal immigrants in the country. Only 130,000 of them are here in Minnesota, which against our population shows that we actually have a disproportionately low number of illegal immigrants. Like I said, compared to the 3 states where more than half of the total illegal immigrants are: California, Florida, and Texas. Why was Metro Surge here instead of there? They didn't accomplish anything. They deported some people, but not very many, and it was expensive. It cost the local community $600 million, lots of terror, and 2 lives of people who were not illegal immigrants. One of them was a VA nurse, and the other was a mother.
Okay, you just made a bunch of statements there. You didn't ask any questions. So, do you have a question?
I'm asking why you think this. The specific question is why do you think they sent ICE agents here instead of somewhere like Texas or Florida or California, where most of the illegal immigrants in this country are?
Well, you're talking about why did they send them to Minneapolis? Let me ask you this: is Minneapolis a sanctuary city?
Sure.
Okay, well, maybe that's one reason.
Okay, but again, they would have deported more of them if they went to California, Texas, or Florida.
Well, they had a tremendous amount of obstruction.
Wait, so just to be clear, because you don't like that it's a sanctuary city, you don't like that we're exercising.
I didn't say that. I asked you a question. I
asked why they were sent here, and then you brought up whether or not we're sanctuary city.
I don't think you and I can ever know the actual reason. We can only assume, right?
I think it's fucking obvious that it was a politically weaponized attack on my community.
Yeah, no, it's not that obvious.
Then
what makes it so obvious?
Because there's no good explanation for why they attacked our city in the way that they did.
Not one that you probably heard or probably would agree with. Yeah, I will say that.
But there's only 130,000 illegal immigrants in Minnesota, and there's so many more, in so many millions in Texas, California, and Florida.
Yeah, and they're being dealt with. I mean, I don't understand. What is your argument? Let me ask you this. What do you think should happen to someone in this country that is...
I'm not going to move on. I want to get to the point that you're upset about Minneapolis being a sanctuary city, which suggests to me that...
I don't know where you got that from.
Listen to my question. You brought up that they were a sanctuary city as maybe a reason... Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That doesn't make me upset about it.
You need to stop talking and you need to listen. You need to respect the fact that this is my show and I have a line of questioning that I'm trying to subject you to. And this wiggling around and trying to get out of it doesn't make you look good in the conversation. And I don't use the mute button, so you can keep talking over me, but it'll just make you look bad on the show. The question specifically is, why did you bring up the fact that we're a sanctuary city if we should respect things like the 10th Amendment right for people who live in states to establish their own laws that don't have to do with the laws in place of the federal government? If you have a problem with our local laws, that makes it seem to me like the reason they sent ICE here was retaliatory and not because it was a good way to do immigration and customs enforcement. Do you think that it was retaliatory that they sent us here based on our local policies? And do you think that that's okay if you do think that? That's my question.
Okay, well, I don't know that. Okay, so therefore I'm not going to have an opinion on it because it's irrelevant. I don't know that. But
why did you bring it up?
I am trying to tell you why. I asked a question since we don't know.
Why did you? Okay, we are a sanctuary city. We do.
Okay, great. So
we're a sanctuary state in those sense.
So once we got to that point, now we can maybe I said, maybe that could be the reason, but I'm not saying that's the reason. I'm saying that may be the reason.
What?
That's not a statement of fact.
Okay, I understand that we can't be certain about the intentions here. I'm willing to give you that asterisk. If you think that is the reason, do you recognize that that's a fucking emergency? The president retaliating against the state? Then why did you bring it up?
I don't think that's the reason. I think that there are multiple reasons.
No, dude, I don't accept that you're arguing in good faith. I think that you brought that up because you thought it would be a really good reason to attack our city. I pointed out that it wouldn't, that it's a violation of our 10th Amendment states' rights, and it's absolutely ridiculous for the federal government to retaliate against a group of people who don't deserve it, especially in consideration of the fact that some of us fucking died. We had to cancel schools for a while. I worked as a high school teacher. I just finished that job, so now I get to talk about it. I had to keep my mouth shut about the fact that I had to be a bodyguard for children who aren't white while we were bringing them to their work-study programs and to and from school. I had to stand next to them, walking down the street, looking over my shoulder to make sure that nobody was going to come and snatch them or try to detain them for their skin color, which the Supreme Court just ruled ICE agents are allowed to do. So, like, we had a really big fucking problem, and we were trying to figure out why it happened here instead of somewhere like Florida or California or Texas, which if we're going for deporting illegal immigrants, would have been a more effective place to have this type of enforcement action. When I asked that question, you offered, is this a sanctuary city? Maybe that's why. I'm asking why you did that, if you respect states' rights and if you recognize that it's absolutely horrible for the president to weaponize ICE against a community, even if it's in a way that's not going to be effective for deporting people, which it obviously, as a matter of fact, wasn't.
So when you claim that states violating states' rights, what do you mean by that? You're telling me that the federal government is violating states' rights when they go and enforce immigration laws, let's say in a place like Minneapolis? Is that violating states' rights?
When an ICE agent flies at 70 miles an hour down a 20-mile-an-hour side street in my neighborhood, that is a violation of a local law that we set to protect ourselves from dangerous behavior. The federal government giving such an agent federal immunity is an example of the federal government not respecting the state's laws that are supposed to be protected by the 10th Amendment. That's one very specific narrow example, because I realized talking to you that I have to do that or you're going to poke holes in it. So that's one specific example, but I can point to a large number of behaviors that there's thousands of videos of these ICE agents doing that are a problem in that way. So yeah, they are.
They are violating federal law, state law, by going there and enforcing federal laws. You're saying that they're violating laws by doing other things like speeding or all these other things. Yeah, fine. Like, I'll even grant you that.
The federal agents are not allowed to violate states' laws in order to enforce federal laws.
Okay.
I mean, they've been given it. I mean, as a matter of fact, they are. Like, that's the state of affairs that we're in right now, because they've been given this the blanket immunity. So, like, there are legal exceptions where that's legally true. There are places where it's not legally true.
Blanket immunity?
Well, it's different in different cases, and this is the type of gish galloping that you're going to do, because I'm not a lawyer. Maybe Law of the Wild is watching. If Law of the Wild's watching, get up here, because I need your help. Because, yeah, there are certain cases where
you do need help.
Because you're going to ask me a bunch of questions about specific laws. Yes or no? Is it okay for an ICE agent to drive 70 miles an hour down a street in Minneapolis?
I don't know. Is it?
It's not. It's against the law. It's speeding.
Okay.
Law enforcement officers are allowed to. Yeah, they're allowed to speed in pursuits, but they have to do with reasonable care. They have training around police chases and that sort of thing, but they're not doing that. They're violating our safety. You know that. You're just going to ask me questions, and you're going to play the but why game until we're at the all the way at the end of the chain and say, oh, I don't know, the universe started because of a bunch of mystical stuff that the physicists can't understand. But why, all the way down to the beginning.
Let me see if I want to understand your premise.
You don't give a shit
here
about my community.
You're
That's
going
where
to
I'm
make a
arriving
claim.
with this.
Hold on. Let me see if I understand your premise. You're going to make a claim, and I am not allowed to challenge it and get deep into it and get an analysis of it? Is that the way that you debate?
You're disregarding the obvious facts that I'm bringing you.
I'm disregarding. I'm asking you questions.
I'm answering your question by saying that what you're doing in this call is disregarding the clear and obvious facts I'm bringing you to ask questions about things that are a little bit harder for me to talk about, even though I'm obviously very knowledgeable about this stuff generally. I think it's disingenuous, and I don't think you care about the suffering that my community's gone through.
Okay, that's your opinion, but that's not what it is. I'm not being disingenuous. I'm being very fair. I'm actually challenging your claims. That's all I'm doing.
I don't think that you care at all that children were brought to the hospital for tear gas inhalation. I don't think you give a shit about any of that.
All right. Yeah, sure. Don't sensationalize this, but anyways, I mean,
I'm sorry. Am I sensationalizing it, or did that happen?
You are. Okay, so let's
No. Let's talk specifically about that case, because this was back in January, before Alex Preddy was murdered. Another person was shot. It has turned out we're actually charging the ICE agent who shot him because he lied about the circumstances of the shooting. But one of the things that happened is the community responded, and people came out and yelled and were upset and protested, and they, with their lack of training, threw crowd munitions into a neighborhood in northeast Minneapolis. And one of the things that happened is a person who was trying to evacuate his family of 6 from his own home because ICE was turning the neighborhood into a war zone, sending these crowd musicians and tear gas canisters everywhere. A tear gas canister was thrown under his car, and his children had to be brought to the hospital for inhaling tear gas because tear gas is really scary for kids. It can fuck up their respiration to the point where they don't oxygenate their blood enough, which is why they need medical attention. That fucking happened. Now that I've given you more details about it and shown you that it's not just some random case I'm making up to make you feel sensationalized about how this happened, it's a specific thing that I was referring to that you can go read news articles about. Do you think that's a good example of the type of harm that I'm talking about? And can you demonstrate to my audience that you give half a shit about those children?
Okay, well, here's what I would say to that. Anyone, including ICE, that does something illegal, breaks the law, or let's say even morally, well, I wouldn't go into moral because this is a more of a legal thing. Yeah, if they broke the law, they did something they were not supposed to do, they should be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. Hasn't been proving.
They wear masks. We don't know who to sue. They don't have badge numbers. They don't identify themselves. The public can't get access to their body cam footage. When they killed Renee Good and Alex Preddy, there's supposed to be 2 independent investigations. Every time a federal law enforcement officer kills a person in a state, there's supposed to be a federal investigation that's done internally and then an independent state investigation in the same, I've brought this up in this episode already, in the same way that if a police officer accidentally runs you over with his car, accidentally gets into a fender bender with you, he has to call the police himself and get a different agency to show up and investigate him because he's not supposed to investigate himself, and his buddies who work down at the local police station aren't supposed to investigate their coworker. So there are systems in place to protect people from this sort of wrongdoing, and they are very conspicuously not being obeyed.
All right. So what do we go by that? What is your assessment of all of that? Let's say they're not being obeyed.
ICE is my assessment of all that.
Okay, yeah, well, that's just just going rage and going insane, and that actually, I think
I'm sorry.
To be honest, I think that you're the one that doesn't care about people.
No. I'm going to talk over you until you let me ask my. I'm going to talk over you until you let me ask my question. That whole thing that I just laid out, that very clear picture of federal overreach in a way that's dangerous and harmful to my community. My assessment of that is basically, fuck that. I don't like it, and you're calling me insane for that. I'm calling you insane
because that's
for
not
that,
the way
dude.
that you resolve these issues. You don't resolve these issues by doing that.
I'm sorry. Am I doing no good by sitting here and talking about this to you? Are there not hundreds of people watching? Are there not potentially thousands or millions of people who are going to judge you for the things you've said in this call?
No, you are already condemning it. You're not talking about it. You're looking at it through the eyes that it's already they're guilty. They have committed some sort of crime. We don't know that.
What were the lies? You just said I'm looking at the lies.
I didn't say it was a lie. I'm saying that you are condemning it already.
I'm looking at the lies. What are the lies I'm looking at?
You're making shit up. You are condemning the whole thing already, as if they did something illegal or wrong. You have a condemnation of the whole thing, and you claim yourself that there has not been sufficient investigations or look into it. Why don't we wait for that before we condemn them as, fuck them? Like, really?
Because there's nothing to wait for. The federal government is refusing to investigate these people. They are announcing that they have immunity. They have refused to give evidence in the case of those killings to the state investigators. I think one of them they were granted it, but it was months later, so we're concerned about it being doctored. It simply isn't happening. Am I supposed to wait for the rest of my life for nothing to happen, for you to say, oh, they're working on it? Am I supposed to act like I'm a victim in the Epstein case? Oh, it's been 20 years. They're working on it. They're investigating it. I promise we're going to eventually do it. Never mind that the people who perpetrated these crimes are being... I'm bringing it up as a parallel of the fact that this Justice Department under the Trump administration isn't seeking justice for victims. These people are going to die of old age before they get investigated, and you're still going to be sitting there with your arms folded saying, oh, they must be investigating it. The legal process is in the way. No, I'm pointing out to you ways in which the laws are directly being violated by the federal government, and you don't give a shit, even though children went to the hospital with respiratory issues because of it. You don't care, man. You are an awful person.
Awful person.
You're an awful person.
And you're a great person. That's all you have. We don't have any evidence. We haven't seen the investigations.
No,
we haven't come to a conclusion.
That is the cherry on a shit sundae of information I have given you. You know I've demonstrated myself to be knowledgeable about this.
You haven't demonstrated anything.
You know it's disingenuous to say that this is just my opinion. That's absolutely fucking absurd, and you know it, unless you have the memory of a goldfish and can't remember longer than 10 seconds back in this conversation. I've given you a mountain of details about what ICE is doing here in Minnesota, and you have responded to none of it.
None of them can be proven.
There's footage of it.
None of them can be proven as a law was broken. You haven't.
The Mueller Park incident, January 21st. Gregory Bavino and a convoy of 2 SUVs of men approached a neighborhood, were stopped by protesters, which I will admit is illegal. That's traffic obstruction. That does not mean you get to tear gas a neighborhood. That day, I washed tear gas out of an old woman's eyes. Sorry for calling you an old woman. I know you're 65. She and I have only talked. I've talked a little bit on TikTok afterwards. I washed tear gas out of an old lady's eyes because she stepped out of her own home in the neighborhood of Muller Park in Minneapolis, wondering what the fuck was going on. The agents in that case, we are seeking federal state charges for felonies that were committed by them. This shit is happening, and you are just sitting here denying it. What the fuck is wrong with you? I obviously have details.
Where's the denial? Not denying it.
You called it lies a second ago, and then when
Didn't call it a lie, sir. Don't put a lot of words in my mouth. Didn't say it was a lie.
Yeah, you said that I'm basing this all on lies. Those are the words you said. People can go back in the VOD and see it. The conversation's getting posted. People are going to fact check it in the comments. If you're watching this VOD after the fact, somebody will have done it right here. Timestamp. He said lies right there. Oskar called him on it. He immediately denied it. And then 3 minutes later is right now where I'm saying again that you said my position is based on lies. But you cannot tell me one single lie I have said during this call. So you're denying having accused me of that.
Is that the hill you're going to die on?
There are so many
on the hill saying that I said you're
now you're just ignoring everything I said. Oh, Oscar's going to die on the hill where the caller has to be held to what they said on his talk show. No fucking shit, dude. It's my full-time job to die on that hill. Welcome to the Oskar Quentin show.
Yeah, but I didn't say that. You're gonna die on some bullshit that I didn't say. I didn't say that they were lies. I said that you already making a conviction and a condemnation. That's what I said.
I'm sorry. Have I convicted anybody, or have I just stated obvious details of fact that can be found in evidence in videos that I have filmed my fucking self on this TikTok account? Go scroll back to January.
Yes, you need to, perform an investigation.
You know what? I'm going to listen to my chat. I'm going to make sure that you're the type of person who actually believes in the sorts of things that you believe in, and you're not just having fun fucking with me because my community's in danger and some of my fucking neighbors died. I want to ask that you turn your camera on.
I'm going to turn my camera on. Why am I going to turn my camera on?
My camera's on. Why isn't you? That's what happens next. You can leave if you want, but you have to turn your camera on if you want to stay.
You want me to leave? You lost the debate already and you want to leave? You want me to leave?
I want you to stay. Please turn your camera on.
No, I don't want to turn my camera on.
Why not?
Because I don't want to. That's it.
No, that's circular. The reason you don't want to is because you don't want to is because you don't want to is because you don't want to. I don't give a shit.
Exactly.
It's a fucking paradox, and you know it. You have the right not to turn your camera on. You have the right.
Paradox?
You have the right to run away from this conversation.
It's my decision not to do that.
Correct. I'm asking you, why are you making that decision?
Because I don't want to. That's simple.
Oh, and Jazz Baron Club sent me $2 on YouTube Super Chat to say he very specifically said it was based on lies. Yeah, I caught him in that, and he's refusing to acknowledge it. Camera or nothing else. We're not moving on.
So we don't move on, but I'm not turning on my camera. I choose not to do that.
Then choose to click the run button or sit here and have me demand that you turn your camera on. We got 5 minutes left in the scheduled show. I'll spend every second of it.
Go ahead and boot me. This is your live.
I'm not going to boot you.
If you don't want to contend with real arguments,
I think you're a coward. I don't think that you stand by what you believe in. I think you know there'll be consequences for you if people in your life know that you feel this way about this sort of thing. I think you know you've behaved in a reprehensible way on my show, and that's why you're unwilling to turn your camera on. So I'd like to see you turn your camera on.
And I think you have the right to think that, but that doesn't make it true, though.
CBJ sent me $5 on YouTube Super Chat to say this guy is either unbelievably bad faith or has the memory of a goldfish. I think I even pointed that out myself. Yeah, I agree. And I think he's just demonstrating that he's unwilling to stand on business and actually show the world that he really values what he believes in because he's unwilling to show his fucking camera. And I'm getting so sick. I'm getting so sick of people giving me death threats. I'm getting so sick. I'm going to finish what I'm saying here because I will remind you that you don't get to do anything next on my show but turn your camera on, and I'm not going to let you out of that. I'm just going to point out that I'm getting pretty fucking sick of people giving me death threats live on the air and getting pretty sick of people telling me they don't care about children inhaling tear gas. I'm getting pretty sick of people demonstrating they're apathetic to the fact that I had to fucking wash tear gas out of an old lady's eyes. I'm sick of people telling me that they're apathetic about my friends being arrested by the FBI. I'm sick of people telling me that they're apathetic about my neighbors dying for doing fucking nothing at all. And I want people who say such things to show that they actually stand on those beliefs and want them to be associated with who they are by turning on their camera, which is why I'm demanding that you fucking do that. And I'm thinking that that's going to be the trend on this show for a little while, is when people come bring me these fucking reprehensible beliefs, I show that they are spineless fucking cowards because they're afraid to show their face in association with those beliefs. People know who I am. People know how to find me. If I get stabbed in the chest or shot while at a protest, it'll be because somebody watched this show, didn't like what I said, and came and found me at the Whipple building or DC or Delaney Hall or one of these places I want to go because I live a public life where I say controversial things on the internet that I believe with my fucking heart, and I'm demonstrating to my audience that you are no such patriot, that you are no such person who really stands on what they believe in. You are a keyboard warrior hiding behind the anonymity of the internet because it makes it easy to come on here and say things that are grievously harmful to society. You don't give a fuck because you don't want the consequences. Never mind the fucking consequences for my neighbors who are fucking dead. I have given plenty of examples, and it is not your time to speak until you turn on your camera.
Examples, but you're claiming that I
am upset for good fucking reason. People have fucking died, my friend. Your constitutional rights are in danger.
That's terrible. Yeah.
ICE agents are allowed to detain people because of the color of their skin or the accent with which they speak English, and you speak English with an accent that gives them the right, according to the Supreme Court. Kavanaugh wrote the opinion. They're called Kavanaugh stops. You can be stopped and detained because of your accent, and you aren't fucking concerned about that. I'd like to see your camera go on so I could say maybe that they would detain you because of the color of your skin. I don't know the color of your skin, but they are allowed to detain you because of the color of your skin. I'm not interested in a word you have to say until you turn on your fucking camera. I am so fucking sick of these cowards on the internet acting like I'm the bitch when I'm the one putting my life in danger. I'm the one going outside and standing up for my fucking community and my dead fucking neighbors and all those kids who have to fucking inhale tear gas. I'm the motherfucker who got up at 6 a.m. every day for fucking months to be a bodyguard for children, for fucking kids, for teenagers. I had to pretend that everything was fine and walk with them. I had to hold my fucking tears back when I was a teacher in the front of the room watching the kids in the back of the room joke about which fucking IDs they have to carry to keep themselves safe from fucking ICE. One kid snatched another kid's passport card and said, "Oh, I got your passport card. ICE is gonna fucking get you now." I had to fucking live through that, and you are too much of a fucking coward to tell me that you have a problem with it with your fucking face. That is what is wrong with this country. You are what is wrong with this country. It is people like you that let this happen in the 30s in Germany. It is people like you that we have to watch history fucking repeat itself. It is because people like you that if this happens and we have to tell the next generation why we fucking let this happen. It is because of cowards like you. Turn your camera on now.
No.
Bitch.
I won't.
Gone. That was the Oskar Quentin show, everybody. Let's see. Gonna hang out for 60 more seconds, read some donations before the show ends. Melanie, thank you for the $10 on Venmo. Zeke is clearly trying to force you to answer in a way that reinforces his point of view. He has bad faith and doesn't give a shit about people. I agree. Dawson, thank you for the $10 on Venmo. Genuinely happy that you're confronting these spineless cowards. Whenever you match their energy, they run away with their tail between their legs. Keep up the good work, man. I really do appreciate what you do. I'm trying. Fucking cowards, though, man. Like, I'm getting so fucking serious about the cameras, man. Like, I'm not... David sent $5 to say, Zeke, stop working out in front of the TV with Fox News on at the gym. I swear to God, like, Dean is talking about canceling his show because of the trolls. I'm thinking that the show becomes fucking camera only. I'm so sick of these fucking pretend-ass keyboard warriors, like, you know, fucking laying in bed and pretending that they're participating in democracy by saying reprehensible shit on TikTok. I'm fucking over it. Chrono sent me $2 on YouTube Super Chat. My dog's barking. She's probably detecting I'm upset. Chronos sent me $2 on YouTube Super Chat to say, W Oscar, valid crash out. Thank you, Chronos. Burger World sent $5 on YouTube Super Chat to say, can't quite pin down his accent, but it sounds like one of the Donald J. Trump handlers doing some bad PR. So those Russian flags can't have that. Compromat. That's a new word for me. Exist by turning his cam on. Oh yeah, doesn't want to compromise the mission.
Redline is also new.
Redline is also new. Yeah, the Redline Rogue sent me $2 on YouTube Super Chat to say, why is he so against putting a face to his beliefs? I think we all fucking know why. Tavi says, caller gets off on being humiliated. That's all. Yeah, Lucky Phil says, play back the VOD. I gotta set that up. Maybe with the secondary PC, we can get a way for you to cue the VOD so that I'm talking to my producer off screen. Maybe we can set up that other computer so that you can get the VOD queued without it interfering with the show's audio. That's the thing that I don't like about Dean doing it. He always has to scrub through, and it's like unpleasant to listen to him jumping around trying to find the spot.
But if it's a computer I can plug in and unplug.
Yeah, like you could plug it in as a sound device when we get over to the other 8-channel one.
Universe said thank you for the 5 gift subscribers.
Oh, yeah. Somi Homie sent me 5 gift subscriptions. Thank you so much for that over on YouTube. Jazzberry and Cub said he was very specifically based on lies. I think I read that one. This guy is either... Yeah, I think I've read all these. Cordova sent me $5 to say I have nothing to add. Get him. Thanks for the $5. Yeah, The goat Oscar spitting facts. Fuck these types of callers and cowards, says Blaze for $5 over on YouTube Super Chat. Thank you so much. And Brett sent me $20 on Venmo to say, thanks for your passion. Enjoy following you. You were making a difference. You know, I'm fucking angry, you know? Like, I keep my fucking cool on the show generally, but I'm just so fucking sick of these people acting like this isn't real life. This is real life. These people are dead. Those children had their year of high school, like, fucked up. Like, it's just... Patty sent me $20 on Cash App to say, please rethink your rejection of the mute button. Well, valid, Patty. Valid. Infectious sent me $5 on Cash App to say Zeke is a cowardly child in a grown body. Yeah, I agree. And then Lucky Phil sent me something on Buy Me a Coffee. Lucky Phil sent me $2 on Buy Me a Coffee to say, I know you can't read this out, but fuck this cunt to the moon. I did read it out. I think we can say cunt on TikTok Live.
My favorite word.
It's a good one, yeah. Let Cory up.
No.
Oh, was there somebody here who I should have let up? When did I miss it? That was 2 minutes ago. Cory, if you're still here, you can get in the request queue. And Lucky Phil sent me another $2 YouTube super chat to remind me to get to the Buy Me a Coffee. But was there another one? No, I did read them. Hello, Cory.
Hey, Oscar, how's it going today?
Just dealing with some cowards.
Yeah, no, I was actually in the process of DMing you this because I was just gonna say, I started a rule on because you mentioned this a couple minutes ago. I started a rule on the lives I host where it is any bigots or trolls, they turn their cameras on the same way that you were doing it, and it's been very, very. It's worked out really well, so I would highly encourage. You were thinking about doing that. It's been a very good tactic on my end, just because it saves a lot of just the. I don't know. It forces these people to put their faces to their beliefs, or it shows that they really don't stand by them. So I would highly I think it's a good idea for what you were thinking about.
Yeah, I don't know. I might just try it tomorrow. I might have the prompt say, "Hey MAGA, camera's on. Let's talk." And just see how the show goes. Just like for one thing, I think it'll just increase the value of the content I produce if there's a face for people to look at. Like, I think it's just better, but it does limit us to people who want to speak with their face. And generally, I like people being able to be anonymous, because especially people who are like coming out of the MAGA cave, maybe they want to be anonymous about like having a meaningful conversation with me. Like that's something I can really get behind. But I'm just getting to the situation where those calls are so rare, and most of the calls are reprehensible monsters who are unwilling to associate their face with their beliefs. So I think I'm going to do a chapter of just demanding it from every single person. And if nobody calls, then then we'll go from there. We'll figure out how to manage it. But I'm glad to hear it's working out for you.
Yeah, I would say the one challenge you're going to have with that is so many accounts can't turn their cameras on because TikTok's weird like that.
Sure.
So it's going to be like a 50-50.
Yeah. But I mean, I just want to find out the type of show I get if I demand everybody turn their camera on. I want to know how that goes.
I think, like you say, you like the idea of anonymity. I actually think it's a better quality show when people are forced to put their faces behind their beliefs. Like, again, we all do it, or at least I don't know anybody on the left who won't turn their camera on.
Well, I just think I think it's maybe a little bit topic dependent. Like I said, like when somebody says like, "Hey, I'm from a MAGA family, and this stuff is starting to make some sense to me," all that stuff. Like that person, I can respect not wanting to have their camera on because they're afraid to have even hopped in, because some people are like think they're going to get in trouble just for like sharing their beliefs or showing that they're vulnerable to a conversation about what Trump is doing. So like I can respect those people just for their comfort not wanting to have their camera on, because it means that we can have better conversations if they feel more comfortable. But we're just not having very many of those conversations at all these days. So I think I'm going to try a different approach.
Yeah, I would highly encourage it. But yeah, no, I just figured I'd say this is easier than typing it, so I appreciate you having me up. Thank you.
Yeah. Nice to meet you, Cory. I gave you a follow, so I'll pop into one of your lives when I see the red ring.
Thank you, and really fun watching you. You're an amazing speaker on this stuff. So it's fun these have been fun to watch. So thank you. I was doing cardio while listening to this, and you know what? It got me through it. So thanks.
Glad to hear it. Glad. Oh yeah. W. Cory. Infectious is one of my donors. I'll let them up to just get a word in edgewise because we are just politely wrapping up the show after talking to that monster. Oh, and while I wait for Infectious Bites to connect, I will say that Butt Mustard sent another Oskar Quentin gift membership to 5 people. How does that even work? Thank you so much, Butt Mustard. And then Elusive Viper sent $20 to say, absolutely need to try an only cam stream. Curious how many of these people would be willing to tie their face to their opinion. I agree. Yeah, thank you so much for the $20. And then Redline Rogue sent $5 to say, just saying this because I'm happy to support. Been watching on Facebook a while now and cannot get enough of these debates. Thank you so much for your support. You're making them happen. Infectious, are you there?
Yeah, hey Oscar, how's it going, brother?
Doing all right. I do know you're a friendly and a regular donor, but I gotta ask, how old are you?
50.
50. Welcome to the show. Thanks for your support. I know I've been seeing you. I think it's on Cash App. You've been helping out. Thank you. Appreciate you for all the continued support.
I don't really do the Venmo thing, but I like to throw a little bit when I can.
Whichever.
I was just gonna say, I have one of the followers that one of the creators that I follow. He's not a really big creator, but one of his rules when people come up on panel is they have to turn on their camera at least temporarily, and then they can shut it off if they like. So they're not.
Yeah.
Doing things, during the course, because I don't know about anybody else, but I like to grab myself a cig while I'm on lives.
Sure.
And you don't want to have that on camera, which is fine. But he does it as an age verification.
Yeah, I was thinking about having that where it's like get somebody's age and then just say, hey, just turn your camera on and say hello for us. So, gets the trolls out of here. Like I was thinking about maybe doing it that way because I can see that like a person still might just be more comfortable laying in bed smoking a cigarette and having the conversation, which they might not want to do on camera. So yeah, I don't know. I think if I'm going to leverage the fact that I'm growing enough to get more callers, I can just say that I'm going to start being pickier because I want the show to be serious. I want I leverage the entertainment value to keep the show popular. But if it's just entertainment, we're not accomplishing anything. I'm fucking with Dean Withers. I want to do something else with my time because this is getting fucking ridiculous. Talking to a bunch of was that guy serious about thinking that nothing important is happening in my community that we should be angry about, or was he a troll who just doesn't give a shit and is having fun by fucking with me on the internet? And I think him not turning on his camera leads me to believe he's the latter, which is still reprehensible, but it's not productive talking to him. So I don't know. I think.
Oh yeah, the Darvo with that one was just fucking insane.
Yeah, he was just running away from everything I was saying to him. Everything I said, he wanted to say something else or ask a question about it, or this, or like, what law is that, or show me this. It just, I don't know, dude. Kids are getting hurt. Like, can we just fucking focus on that?
Right.
Thank you so much.
I just had that as an idea, man.
Appreciate
just throwing it out there.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Love your show, man.
W's in the chat for Infexus. He's been sending donations regularly for quite a while. It's been a little while since I've had DiavaTalks up to say hello.
Hello.
Hello, Diava. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm channeled my Diava today. I got to yelling.
You sure did. I was like, oh, yes, we got to let Oscar crash out, because I have righteous crash outs every once in a while, too. But I usually end up crying at the end of mine because that's how my body releases all that anger and frustration. And it's usually a righteous crash out because it's when people get inhumane. That's when it just, because I'm an empath. And it's when they're just so disgusting and gross about their thoughts. And I've just come to finally deduce that all that's left in MAGA are either sociopaths or psychopaths. Because every single one of them I talk to literally do not give a shit about anybody. Or they're like, so what? They're illegals. Who cares? And I'm like, they're human beings.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
But
that guy wasn't interested in that. I mean, that wasn't even spicy Oscar. That was furious Oscar. He's a rare creature. But yeah, I hear you. It's just, we just need to find a way to make sure these conversations are at least some of the time taken seriously. And I have not. The only time I got a person to turn on their camera, they weren't even saying anything all that reprehensible. They were just being really mean and hurling personal attacks. And then they turned on their camera and I was like, oh, you did it. Now you can continue talking about my character. Flipped his camera off and said, I'd rather not. And it's just like, of course, dude, of course. But yeah.
Absolutely, because they have to actually, that is a part. I don't know if you watch RJ Okor, but he's been requiring people when they have shit takes or like when men want to control women's bodies. He's like, well, you got to turn your camera on. And he makes them talk to women. He's like, I'm not talking to dudes on abortion. But it seems like they really come up here to talk philosophical with you instead of about actually abortion, because they never talk about the woman. They never talk about the mother, the woman that has to be forced to carry the fetus. They're only talking about the, sentience or consciousness, and, they're talking about the philosophical garbage, but they leave out the woman completely. They don't ever have any consideration for the woman or, the other person that would be involved in this, who's the one that has the ultimate decision. So, but
and that was an interesting take I got earlier today, because I had a guy on who thought that abortion should be up to the man as well because he has to supply child support. Shot that shit down. I think
I was here for that.
Yeah,
I'm like, you're not putting your life on the line. She is. So
right. That just trumps everything the fuck else. I don't care about your child support. That's
All you
were here for it. You heard my thoughts on it.
Ejaculate responsibly.
Ejaculate responsibly, folks. There's lots of fun things we should do responsibly. Ejaculate's one of them.
Absolutely, because 100% of all unwanted pregnancies are caused by men.
Diava will be live in about 3 hours if you want to get some Diava crash outs, everybody. So make sure you're following Diava. Got anything else before you go, Diava?
No, honey, I'm good. Good show today. That was interesting.
Yeah. I got my excitement in for the day. Now for editing, but I'll let you go.
All right. Have a good day.
Thanks for hopping up. Yeah, day's not over for me. Tentatively on the time today, 7 p.m. Central Time is when the evening show's supposed to happen, but we've got a little bit of a toss-up on who the guest is going to be today, so I'm going to actually go sort that out right now. But just look for the stories on my 4 accounts, because I'll get it posted there, and look for the scheduled stream on YouTube, because I'm going to have it posted there pretty shortly. And then after that, we're having the members-only stream, and we've had lots of memberships gifted during today's stream over on YouTube. So if you're paying monthly to be a member on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, the stream will be available to you to like hang out and just like not do the normal show where I care about views and stuff like that. Like we're just gonna chill, do AMA, just goof off. We'll do that, and after the evening show, I don't know when the evening show ends. It's open-ended, so it's after that until I feel like going to bed. So come hang out, come ask some questions. W's in the chat for the staff. We got Raven doing timestamps. We got Jesse. You can step into frame if you want, Jesse. We got Jesse over there being the live producer. That's why I'm not losing track of the donations as much today, is because there's a person whose job it is to tell me that I haven't read Robbie's Venmo. Actually, you're not in charge of Venmos yet. We need to get those on the production PC. Hi, Oscar. Have you ever seen the movie about the trial of the Chicago 7? Your rant at Zeke gave off the same passion that movie conveys in its message, and I think we need more of that. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend, especially given the state of the country. I think I'll have to check that out, especially because
meatball knowledge, dude.
Especially with the way that Jesse's reacting. I think that's probably something I do need to watch. Maybe we put that on when we're working today. Nia says, one of your resident Canadians here, don't have much to say, just a reminder to drink your water and take a deep breath, especially after that last debate. I should drink some dang water. Holy shit. I usually control myself a little bit better than that. No, I think I was pretty controlled. It was a mostly performative crash out. I was channeling my anger, not letting it take control of me.
The real ones knew that. The real ones were like, yeah, he's doing this on purpose. Y'all knew.
Well, I always do the gag of like having the gag. Like I did the whole crash out. I kicked him, and then I immediately said, "Thank you, Melanie, for $5." I just like jumped right into the donations to let everybody know that I'm in control of myself, guys. I don't actually seem to have a temper. If I'm broken in some way that makes me good at this show, it's that I don't have a fucking temper. It's cool as a cucumber when the monsters are telling me it's okay that people died.
Yeah. Well, Kronos just left, but I was going to tell him for the members only stream, I am mic'd up. So if you were like, oh, Mike Jesse, members only, I'm there. I'm mic'd.
And I think today we should definitely get you a table mic for the other side of the room, because you keep chiming in with good shit that I want the people to hear. Yeah, members only at 7 p.m. members only after the 7 p.m. evening show, where we're gonna have a special guest sometime tonight, so just stay tuned for the updates. And then the regular show is happening at the regular time, 10 Central Time every day. Linktree in the bio for all the things supporting the show, getting in the Discord, all that nonsense. Catch you guys tomorrow. Goodbye, TikTok. Oh, where's the button? There it is. Goodbye, TikTok. And goodbye, YouTube.